And so we're finally here, the final chapter of our journey. Only 2 teams remain, and one best of 7 separates them and the trophy that lies before you. It's Championship Sunday here at the Wild Rift Origin Series. It's kind of bittersweet. This is our final day in the studio, but we finally come to the end of it. It's, of course, Championship Sunday at the Origin Series, and as you already know, I can't do this one alone, so it's time to introduce our 2 casters for our grand finals. It's D-Man and X-Scoundrel. Oh, they're hamped. Oh, you can feel it.
I'm ready.
They're raring.
It's also a bit chilly in here.
There you go. We'll grab those. We'll grab a few of those on the way in. So, lads, how are you feeling today? It's been a fantastic weekend. You feeling psyched? Feeling amped for this?
I'm pumped. I'm pumped for this.
I mean, look, I've lived and breathed Wild Rift for the last year, and this is really that first taste of true, offline competition. It has been one of the best experiences of my life, especially getting to meet a lot of these players, and I'm so hyped for this. Best of 7. I've never cast a best of 7 of anything in my competitive career, so I'm starting off with a game that I love, and that's fantastic.
Is that the same for you, Lee? Because you've been around a little bit longer than the pair of us.
I don't know if I've ever done a best of 7. I've got to be honest. It's definitely an interesting one. Obviously, the speed of the games definitely suits that way, as opposed to, I couldn't imagine doing it within League of Legends on sort of on the PC side of things. It would have been a very long time. But on the mobile side, this absolutely works, because we're looking at like average 15, 16-minute games. That's like the maximum game time. Everything's sped up. And this is going to be pretty hype. We got 2 teams that performed brilliantly yesterday. Really looking forward to it.
Glad you brought up yesterday, because very heart-wrenching defeat for one of our teams yesterday, Kieran, wasn't it? Game Lord in that 5-game series that went the distance, just couldn't close it out.
Yeah, I really feel for those players, because I do genuinely believe that they are some of the best in Europe. I think they probably will have a heavy head coming out of this, a lot of weight on their shoulders coming into that series where they really were the favorites. Most people pegged them as the favorites going up against Queso, and a couple of mistakes from their end, but a great capitalization by Ruiz, who really felt like the team leader here for Team Queso. You're
seeing it on your screen right now, Kieran, and on that Diana, I think it was game number 2, he came to play and just got that quadra kill, and I think people started to get a little bit nervous after seeing that if you're a Game Lord fan.
Before that happened, we were setting ourselves up for, here we go, this is going to be Game Lord running away with it. They came into it massive favourites, topped the groups, and controlled the game as they did for what is, in fairness, the first 4 games, despite the fact, obviously, they ended up at 2-2 and went the full distance, which I'm delighted to see. Hopefully we get the distance today and not a runaway, but yeah, I mean, it was all about the man in the middle, not only in-game, but out of game. Well. He was the vocal point of that team, really G'ing up his team. He was saying, look, it's 0-2. We have this in the bag. It took them a lot longer than they planned, but definitely delivered.
And what mental fortitude from Team Queso. You're 2-0 up in a series. You're thinking, 1 more boys in the bag or in the grand finals. Game Lord then come back, swing hard with 2 pretty dominant wins, and you go into the 5th game. To have that fortitude to just come out and say, all right, we're still in this. It's a best of 1. Anything can happen. And I've got to say, Team Queso definitely upset the apple cart here in a way, but they are almost certainly the deserved finalists.
100%, and they're going to have to deal. Sorry, Lee?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to talk about RIX, obviously, because we've not really had a chance to talk about it. They're on the screen here. The very interesting thing for me is obviously RIX, yes, they came into this as favourites, but they have faced Queso a number of times in best of 5s, and it has gone the distance. Now, what we saw yesterday, certainly with the first game of the series, is that the pick and ban strategy will adjust and can adjust throughout this one based on whatever they're bringing to the table. If you've got anything secret, it's now or never.
Absolutely, and I think specifically talking about RIX, as you can see them on your screens now, RIX were a different beast yesterday. They really came out from... They were 1-3 in the group stages. Completely unpredicted. Most people thought they would dominate, and they absolutely crushed their semi-final.
It wasn't just RIX who kind of stumbled in the group stage, whether intentionally or not. Just want to point out, our 2 finalists were both in 3rd and 4th place. They were just touching the edge of relegation when we sent Na'Vi home.
If Na'Vi would have done anything throughout, and they were close to taking a win a few times, we could have been talking about very different finals right now. But yeah, as you say, you don't win a tournament in the group stage. It's simple as that. So many times throughout esports history, we've seen it, teams making these big runs, be it through a lower bracket system, be it sucking in the groups and then absolutely delivering the knockout stage. We've always known RIX are a knockout system team. They've worked well throughout it, and I feel Queso may well be the same.
Yeah, 2 Group A teams have managed to find themselves into this grand final. We obviously invited Group B teams. We couldn't have any Group C representation, unfortunately. You can just hear teams outside. I don't know if you picked up on the mics, but you can hear them getting amped up and ready to go. They're getting prepared, and I had to do a little bit of preparation yesterday to make sure I was fighting fit for today. William. Hey, Will. We've had a lot of interviews with players this weekend. I wanted to have a little bit of a refresher, some practice, if you will. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions to warm up?
Ahead. Yeah, you go right ahead.
Grand finals. You excited for it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be great.
Yeah. What are we expecting to see here? What champions are you expecting to come out here? Any MVP performances, perhaps?
I'm not really sure. We've seen a lot of different champions so far, so...
What's the capital of Montenegro? Let me see here. Let me see if I've got another one for you, actually. What's the average wingspan of an African swallow?
African, 8 inches.
Don't worry about it, it's fine. Let me see here. If Jerry has 8 apples and Serena eats 2, how many apples are left in the cart?
The cart? Why has he got...
Don't worry about it. We'll just you'll get one of them. Don't worry, I've got another one. There are N sweets in a bag. 6 of the sweets are orange, the rest of the sweets are yellow. Hannah takes a random sweet from the bag, she eats the sweet. Hannah then takes another sweet from the bag, she eats that sweet. The probability that Anna eats 2 orange sweets is 1/3. Show that n squared minus n minus 90 equals 0.
I haven't done maths since I was like 16. I haven't done maths in...
But maths isn't up your street, right?
No.
Okay, that's fine. We can move on then. So, I don't know the answer either. I'm just asking you the question.
Well, if you don't know the answers, then...
You're just glad I'm not rattling off questions like that to you two, aren't you?
All I'm saying, mate, if maths is your prep, I'm hoping you can count to 4.
Oh,
because,
okay.
Did someone in chat, did they get that? I wonder if anyone actually solved it.
You know what? If someone actually solves that and knows the answer, just at one of us on Twitter, let us know that you've finally cracked that one.
You rattled that off. That was
a little bit of pace.
I didn't quite follow it myself. I was like, well, hold on, it's 2 plus...
I was just looking up GCSE math questions.
Never do on-air math. That's what we've learned.
Not going to be doing that. But we have to do some letters, shall we say? A, B, and C. Those were the 3 groups we ended up having throughout the course of the tournament. I was already touching on that before we had a quick little interruption from myself. But that's the journey we had over June, July, and August. We had 3 groups. We brought some of the best teams we could. Group A came into this arguably looking like the favourites. Group B kind of threw a spanner in the works yesterday, mainly through Unicorns of Love, who were a team that really outperformed yesterday.
Yeah, I think the majority sentiment coming into this tournament is that Group A, we're going to roll it. And, and we've got 2 Group A first and second seeds in the finals, so clearly they've had a good performance. But I don't want to discount how good Unicorns of Love were, especially on that group stage day. We have got some great competitors across Europe. I think there is a healthy ecosystem across our entire region, that could be a very bright future for Wild Rift here.
Yeah, unfortunately, they weren't able to make it to our final today, but we had a chat with Unicorns of Love after the outcome of yesterday's match to see how they're looking forward to the future of Wild Rift Esports.
At first, I was super sad. I couldn't, the moment when you can't hold tears coming up from your eyes. And we often go into top 4, but when we meet Game Lords or Team Queso or RIX GG, we lose them in series. It's a kind of a challenge for us. We take the maps from them, but the whole series is kind of complicated for us. So I think being here and taking the 2nd place in groups is also a big step for us, and the improvement that we did is already really good job we've made. Despite the result, it was a great experience. It was a great time, and the whole tournament is insanely cool. And the fact that we were 2nd in group stage, it was also really nice. Overall, it's anyway a great experience to be here in LAN finals. Right now, I'm thinking about it. I'm ready to keep fighting. I'm ready to keep going, and I think that next time we will be better. We'll come back, and we will get the 1st place.
I love the future aspirations of Colstar. He's definitely been one of those personalities that have shone throughout the course of this tournament. I remember doing interviews with him back in June, and he always kind of leapt out the screen at you as well. So I'm excited to hear that he's sticking around. But let's take a look at the brackets from yesterday, make sure everyone's clued up on the results we saw. As we already mentioned, that heartbreaking defeat for Game Lord. 3-2 Queso. Queso coming through to today, and a 3-0 scoreline for RIX GG against Unicorns of Love.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about the first series, obviously. Yes, we know that RIX sort of swept Unicorns of Love aside, and we weren't sure what they were bringing to the table, but for Game Lord, absolute heartbreak for them, because they're going to have to evaluate their performance that went into this, and they're going to figure out, it's like, what? It was all about the shot calling, because they were leading it all of those games.
Yeah, but I think we can't take anything away from Queso here. Queso were the finalists. Queso deserved their win. And I think at the end of the day, they stepped up to a level that we hadn't really seen from them, especially led by Ruiz, who really popped off. You mentioned it earlier. He was that vocal, both in-game and out-of-game leader. And that they seemed to really vibe offline. Like, you could just see the energy flowing through that team when they were playing those games. And I've got to say, I have been pleasantly surprised by Queso. I didn't think that they would beat Game Lord. I'm going to hold my hands up and say that. Game Lord looked like the most dominant team that we had at this competition coming out of group stages, but I want to hark back to that statement that you made. You don't win in groups. It's both the same for doing badly in groups, but also the same for doing well.
But that was also the folly of a lot of teams, I guess. Everyone would have picked Queso given the choice, apparently. That's what we were hearing. Queso was the team to pick. If you were deciding, you got that preference.
It's exactly who Unicorns of Love wanted. I spoke to Coldstar before, and he's like, they're going to pick Queso. We wanted Queso. We know that game, that loss they had against Game Lord may have just cost them, and it certainly obviously ended up being that way. But for RIX GG, bottom of the group stage, bottom of the table, but they came into it, whether they were bluffing about the fact they were kind of trolling in the groups, and it's like, we only need one win. Not too sure about that, because some of those players looked very nervous on day one, but they settled the nerves, they got out of the groups, and they absolutely delivered yesterday, and it really was a fantastic performance yesterday.
Okay, seeing as you two are going to be casting the grand final, I'm not going to press you for a prediction. Thankfully, we went ahead and checked in with Yuko once more to get her thoughts ahead of Championship Sunday.
Hey guys, resident analyst Yuko here. Nothing better than seeing these teams wreck my predictions, am I right? But now it's day number 3, the grand finals, a best of 7. We have Team Queso versus RIX GG. Team Queso, they have immaculate macro, and they would almost always draft a scaling composition. It works really well for their mid up until late game. Basically, their early game is still very important, but they would almost always bank in the mid to late. For the side of RIX GG, they have very good micro. Based on day number 2, they would usually draft a T5-centered composition that has semi-global to global presence. We may be seeing more of that today. For the matchup, I would really want to see how Ruiz and Snitch will duke it out. Diana, Corky, Twisted Fate even, I would really want to see what kind of surprises these two teams has in store for us. Also, I love the Baron Lane matchup. Will we seeing duelists or will they stick with tanks? It's up to them because these two teams, they adjust as the series progresses. For my predictions, I think it's going to be a 4-2 in favor of Team Queso. Clue, you owe me a skin for Wild Rift. Children casters, back to you guys.
I am so glad I don't have to stand here and try and predict this series, fellas. I'm just going to let other people go ahead and do it for me. But we've got some Preds, we've got the stage. How about we get some teams? It's time to kick off this grand final.
Being a champion, winning a tournament is about a discipline. Should be disciplined training, should be disciplined on stage, should be disciplined in game, everywhere. I think that's how professionals become champions.
In my opinion, what makes a winner is the permanent will to improve, but also it needs to remain fun.
I think to become a champion, it takes like a multitude of qualities, but I think the most important is just having the mindset and the drive to grind as much as you can.
Sacrifice all you have for being better, like have the mindset to improve.
To win a tournament like this, it takes a lot of teamwork, especially in this game. If one person does a mistake, it's gonna be really hard.
We are really ready for the grand finals, like this is the moment of life. We know we did all to be here, so yeah, we're ready for this.
One grand final, let's go!
What I think for RIX is they are not showing up their best level in the stage, but I think because it's the grand final, they will get so motivated, they will perform much better, but I think it's not enough for winners.
It's now or never, and Queso look to take control, and they will. Random will fall, it's the team ace, and surely the game.
It's usual work from us, I guess. We always did it to the final, so I'm happy.
As Coldstart also goes down, this could be the game for RIX GG.
Team Queso will show a good final and the better team win.
I just wanna say Queso proud.
This all started back in June. We had hundreds of teams walk down the road to reach here in Stockholm, Sweden. Now only 2 teams remain for a best-of-7 grand championship. All that remains for them is to duke them out, claim this trophy, and it's about time we brought them onto the stage. Your finalists, Team Queso and RIX GG. Well, what a show that was.
They're over there somewhere.
They're over there. We can see them
somewhere.
They're amped as well. You can see it.
I was a little bit afraid of getting set on fire when I went on stage.
Stage of apprehension. But you cannot argue with the fact that we tried to crown this monumentous occasion the best way, because you're right there.
Just a bit. Whoa, blimey.
Do you want some water? Because you got
I got plenty to go.
You've got quite a
Should we get you a chair?
Gotta get the old man in.
I
Yeah,
know you're near in 70, but...
That's quite a lot of smoke and dry ice. I like that. But yeah, that's an intro, isn't it? Right there. The players are settled down. Yeah. I'm glad I'm not the only one. I can see one of the players joking over there.
All right, okay. You've seen some faces,
Anyway.
though. You've seen some faces. Let's get some names to add up to it.
Yes.
2 fantastically talented rosters. We spent a lot of attention for Team Queso in particular talking about Ruiz. But Keenan, I know a player you're particularly fond of when it comes to RIX GG, and also one of the more vocal ones on the team, Leon in the Baron lane, has definitely had a bit of a journey this tournament, I would say.
Yeah, I think a journey in general over the last few months. You know, he used to be this very kind of aggressive, split push orientated Baron laner, but now he kind of evolved, and especially in the semi-finals, we saw him pick up things like the Renekton. He brought out his Pantheon again. My analysts are just dying in the meantime. What's going on? I'm just trying to keep a straight face, and my analysts are dying. Yeah, I've been really impressed with how Leon's evolved as a player. He's added a lot more to his toolkit, and has allowed him to become a little bit more, I would say, all-round valuable. There's one of the questions that we always had, like, can Leon provide those extra, I guess, assets to the team that you'd sometimes get from random playing tanks and bruisers? Well, Leon did yesterday in that semi-final, and I was really impressed.
And a lot of the focus, of course, we've been talking about the top laners, we've been talking about mid laners. I want to talk about the 2 dragon laners, because Ibu yesterday really stepped up for me. Played a fantastic Senna, but we saw Friend doing the same. Friend was very nervous on the first day, very, very nervous in that groups, but delivered yesterday. And I feel this is going to be a very interesting one. Both fighting for the Senna, fighting for those same AD carriers effectively in there as well.
Look, we're wading through the mist right now. Production said it might be a little bit overkill. I'm going to agree with them on this one. We're going to try and clear the area, let these players get settled. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we're looking to bring you that grand final.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's good to see you.
I know, I can see something now at least.
We got players, we got just a little bit of smoke.
Look, I've been told Graves has been globally banned from the tournament now.
I love the fact that, like, yesterday when we were all talking about this, it's like, it might be slightly over the top. We're not sure.
The thing is, you can't dry run these things. You have no idea. But hey, it looked fancy. Doesn't matter that we nearly all died. I'll do that for the competition. It's fine. Put my life on the line here in the Origin
Just
series.
a bit of smoke. Well, let's get into the game, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. This is the Wild Rift Origin Series Championships Grand Final. Best of 7. 7 matches could well be played out today. Of course, it means it's the first of 4, and Senna being the first ban out.
Very interesting. It's blue side Senna ban for Team Queso. If you note, go back to those first 2 games of the semi-final yesterday. What was Ibu wrecking everybody on? It was Senna.
Indeed. Yeah, I mean, we talked about it. Obviously, we saw Friend doing very well on it as well yesterday against Unicorns of Love. This means Ziggs might be sneaking a way through here. The Riven ban comes through, the Gragas and Lee Sin. Lots of options available. Of course, think of obviously Queso going huge with Diana yesterday as well. The Ziggs ban does come through, and there is the Camille. So, what do you value as a first pick?
This is very difficult to say, I think. A lot of the strong picks for Team Queso, like the Camille, the Lee Sin, like the Senna, have now gone. But I would say Renekton or Galio, both very strong. I was thinking Renekton because it's something that Leon brought out yesterday, and Acolyte played that in a lot of his games yesterday. But Galio's super valuable. We've seen how much his global presence can impact. He's very good anti-melee. A very early Fiora rotation, for what I can only assume is Leon. However, don't count that out of the jungle yet. Count it out of the jungle. Kha'Zix has just been locked in for Doom. Denying the Kha'Zix away from Andre. There is a big debate. You know, Doom versus Andre's Kha'Zix. Which is better? Doom coming out with a statement game here in this first best of 7.
And the Corki coming through. Now, that could be in the mid or the Dragon lane. We don't really know which way it's going to go just yet. As soon as we see the Ahri coming through, we know exactly where it's going. That's going to be an Ahri in the mid.
You see, that was banned in the previous series yesterday between Game Lord and Team Queso. Ahri banned every single game. And actually, something that I remember Snitch talking to me about, he's basically said, why are they banning Ahri? Like, we're not scared of the Ahri on Team Queso. So this will be an interesting litmus test for how good that Ahri is here, as we see the Diana locked in for Snitch, for RIX.GG, and the Braum. Probably one of the most valuable supports that we've seen picked up at this tournament. And the Vi comes through here for Andre. He has defaulted back onto the Vi when he hasn't had options that he feels comfortable on, like the Lee Sin or the Kha'Zix. And to round this comp out, we're looking at a Baron laner now, because this is probably going to be Galio's support, and it will be Darius, which is actually not a great matchup into the Fiora, but we have seen Team Queso lane swap to get this matchup away from Darius. So don't be, too distressed if you see a lane swap come out here, because it is something that they do into the Fiora-Darius matchup quite a lot.
Something we've seen Queso do. There's the Vayne locked in at the final part. Get your exhaust locked in, boys. The summoners are going to be sorted out, no doubt about that one. It is something we should talk about with Queso, is the fact their value of object control. We'll find out how it's going to go. Here we go. Game 1 in the way, ladies and gentlemen, for the Wild Rift Origin Series Championships. Team Queso starting out on the blue side after their 3-2 win over Game Lord yesterday, and RIX.GG on the red side after their 3-0 win over Unicorns of Love.
You're going to see Clue and I think Friend here, something that Friend does play a lot of is this Vayne. I really like Vayne into Darius. If you can get away from that Hextech Proto Belt into the pool, it means he's very easy pickings at the start of a team fight. So you do often see things like the Vayne picked up when you see a Darius or a Garen. This is something that Team Queso did pretty consistently versus Game Lord. They went for that double mid strat. And I want to reiterate, it's a very simple reasoning behind this. You go for the double mid strat to allow Darius to get a very early level 2. Now, we've got an early pause here. I think we just got one of the players getting something sorted out. You can see had a long day here.
Oh, the player banter's already there.
Couple of boos from the guys, but they're all in good spirits. They're all in good spirits. But yeah, that Darius tactic, we saw it actually quite a lot from Team Queso into Game Lord yesterday. Game Lord did not actually respond the way that I thought you should into that particular tactic. You go Darius mid level 2, you deny some early experience from your mid laner, it doesn't matter. What happens is you go top lane, you get your first minion, you hit level 2, you get automatic priority in that lane. In a bad matchup, that's a really big thing to hit level 2 first. What Leon's done though, I don't know if you caught it on the mini-map, Leon, instead of what Random did, Leon's gone, right, I'm going to go ham on the wave. I'm just going to slap that wave as hard as I can, and if I can push it into his tower, it means by the time that the rest of the minions come through, I can actually hit level 2 into at a relatively similar time, and I'd gain natural priority through the way the lane is set up. So that's the best
gold advantage.
Exactly. Well, yeah, that's
maybe
if you can deny a minion from the tower, sometimes it's a little bit risky on that first wave. But what I would say is that is the best way to deal with a level 2, level 1 double mid strat, is that you need to push that wave as quickly as possible, because if you can get it to tower, you might deny some minions, and then by the time the wave resets, you might then be able to get level 2 at a similar time.
And this is very important for later in the game when we start talking about the split push that's going to happen. And we expected probably the Ahri to be doing a lot of that, because obviously very mobile, can get in and out of danger as and when they need it. And that's something we saw obviously Queso doing a lot of yesterday. All about the objective control, the split pushing. They love getting those towers down. They won't be looking for the fight as and when, they will just be looking for the objectives, and a fight may come from it. Whereas RIX GG, I feel, will be certainly a team that will be looking for that fight.
Looks like we see Acolyte not miss any minions here, but it has allowed Leon now to roam into the blue side jungle and get some vision down. So that natural little bit of priority there. He's even popped, well, he's looking to pop the Scryer's Bloom, but didn't quite have that spawn just yet. You will now see him head back towards the lane. However, the lane is in a bit of an awkward spot for Leon. It's a little bit closer towards Acolyte's tower, which is not exactly what you want, so we didn't get a true reset out there. This is something that Andre loves to do. Not many other junglers in this competition do it, but he joins mid after his first clear to get natural priority for the first Rift Herald. So it means that the enemy mid can't respond, they can't set up any crazy antics around the Rift Herald, and that means, the Rift Scuttler rather, that means he's going to be able to get the first Rift Scuttler of the game with nothing really threatening him. Doom on the other side of the map, however, is just going to trade Rift Scuttler for Rift Scuttler here, so doesn't make too much of a difference.
Ping going down, they know exactly where he is. Ruiz did just burn a lot of mana, but we'll go back again. So it is, as you say, Scuttler for Scuttler. And of course, keep your eyes on how this will play out. If you've just joined us and you've not watched much Wild Rift, well, welcome to start with. And welcome to what will be a fantastic grand finals. Around the 4-minute mark, we're going to be looking at both Dragon, or Drake, whichever you prefer, and the Rift Herald both spawning at the same time. And you see the pings there immediately. They know that the invader's there. They're well aware that Doom has gone into the enemy jungle, and that Andreas is doing exactly the same.
You can see almost level 5 for Acolyte here, so Leon roaming out of lane has put him at a little bit of an experience disadvantage, which does mean, obviously, very strong power spike for Darius at level 5 for obvious reasons. He unlocks that ultimate, and that means Leon's going to have to be a little bit more careful here. Doom has made his way up, but some good defensive vision control from Acolyte means that he's not going to get caught out by Doom ganking. You also saw a vertical jungle split come through. Obviously, in general, we generally tend to see Doom try and build Leon up. Waiting for level 5 here for Leon, though, before the gank comes through. He has got a minion wave that is pushing towards him. No one's going to support Acolyte on this push, but Acolyte has got those bug senses tingling. He kind of knows that he's in an awkward spot here. Doom may have just walked into the lane, and Doom really setting this lane gank up.
Yeah, but he surely fell for the bait there. He did go down. Hook, line, and sinker will be followed down, and that is first blood. And I got to be honest, I think Acolyte's going to be kicking himself for that.
Yeah, burnt flash, burnt barrier, everything gone. And that is classic RIX, by the way. You go back to the June and July Origin series, it was Doom playing through Leon every step of the way. Snitch almost caught out here, little dash out from Ruiz. And,
no mana left to finish the job. And obviously, once you burn the cooldowns, you've got such a long wait with the Ahri there. So Ruiz just showing a bit of aggression, but Snitch goes back and gets the honey fruit. Sorry, back to the top lane.
You're going to see Leon do a lane swap here. So they're actually initiating a very early lane swap to put Leon down on the bot side of the map here. They're actually going to funnel a load of gold into Leon as a side laner. So they're giving Leon an early start, and now they're letting him absorb waves that his bot lane let bounce towards him. So this is really just funneling gold and experience into Leon. It's going to put Darius in an even more awkward position because he's gone into the lane swap. But to me, it screams that the priority for RIX lies around the Rift Herald. They're committing their heavy members to the top side of the map in 10 seconds when that Rift Herald spawns.
And if you think about it, yesterday, Queso every time went for Rift Herald over Drake. Every single game, they focused and preferred that. So Rift Herald almost certainly the priority focus, and you can see the fact that Memorized is already here along with Andre. And Ruiz also joining the party. Here comes Ibu. And I tell you what, RIX have read into this very well.
They have. They're kind of shutting down the early attempt at Rift Herald, as you said. And you correctly pointed out that that is the objective of choice for Team Queso here. But I wouldn't want to get into a scrap with Team Queso when they have Ibu with the package. And obviously you can see that RIX are very well aware this is an awkward time. I love this pivot from them, though. Leon has got absolute priority in the bot lane, and that is going to allow them to get a free dragon. We'll trade this for Rift Herald, and I don't think that RIX should contest this, given the way the waves are in.
I think they're going for it. That's it. I think they're going for it. 100% they want to contest. You can see just off the side there. Clue waiting. Going to try and go for the engage, and he does. There's the peel coming through, and that's going to catch one down. That's going to be Snitch picked off. Doom getting away with very little damage. The charm lands absolutely perfect. Leon will go down. Clue will fall as well. That's a 3-for-0 team fight. You pointed it out. They should not have gone for that fight.
It's a really, really difficult fight to take if you're RIX. You do not have super strong early game champions. Kha'Zix is not a massive team fighter, and that is a double tower loss and a potential Rift Herald take as well. Doom's trying to trade for the top lane tier 1, but I think it was a really bad decision because, you know, strategically, you're going into a Galio, a Vi, great teamfight lockdown, great early game for Ruiz on the Ahri as well, but more importantly, like, you're just face-checking into something that you had no vision of.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was watching Clue because I was waiting for that Glacial Fissure to be almost the disengage or engage factor, but he was at the back, he was on the chase. They'd already taken Snitch down before he begins. Have a look here.
And also, Corki's still got package. You never fight objectives when Corki's got package. It's way too powerful. You see teams try to stall out Corki when he's got package around these neutral objectives, and that is a huge win for Team K. So RIX knew it. They knew what was going on, but they just felt they had the numbers advantage with Acolyte on the bottom side of the map, but that's not good enough versus a team that is a very strong team fighting in the early game, and I feel like RIX have dug themselves into a bit of hole here in the first game.
Well, let's see where and when they use that Herald. In the past, we've seen them tend to save it for the second Dragon spawn. When that's up and around, maybe look for an objective off the back of that. But there is an invade coming through. Andreas and, of course, Memorized and Ruiz, they're all looking for this. They want to get that red buff away, but that is a long way to follow through. The charm comes in, and it is absolutely perfect on Doom.
Gonna back off from this. Nice little pick onto Doom there. They're not going to be able to pick up the red buff, but they're going to create some priority in the mid lane off the back of that wave with the Rift Herald, which should allow them to clear out that top side jungle. Team Queso coming out swinging in this first game of the series, and they mean business. RIX punished heavily for that misplay around the Rift Herald.
And that's put a lot of pressure on both top and bottom lane turrets. Both in trouble at the moment as they are getting pummeled. You can see Andreas at the top here putting the damage down the bottom. Acolyte is doing the exact same, and he's managed to pick that objective up. So 2-for-0 currently in terms of turrets, and of course that starves the vision away from RIX. Make it 3.
A little concerned right now for RIX. They picked up that Kha'Zix. It looks like Andre has a plan for the Kha'Zix with the Vi. You always know that a Kha'Zix shows himself in a team fight. You just click that Vi ult, and she's going to lock him down on a single target. I think Team Queso have absolutely knocked RIX for 6 here. 5k gold advantage at 7 minutes into the game. I'm struggling to see where the win conditions, apart from the Vayne and the Fiora scaling up at this point, where those win conditions come through for RIX at this point.
Yeah, and the problem is, obviously, you're looking at a Vayne for, say, Friend, and obviously he's got to scale up. This is always the case. You know that Vayne's going to scale up, and it will be scary. So at the moment, I feel for RIX is they're hoping that Queso move into that split push side and they can maybe get some picks. That's the only options I can see at the moment, because in terms of a clump, in terms of a big team fight, Queso are phenomenal. You know, with that Galio, that big hero's entrance, they got the Vi to pick somebody off, and then immediately they can come and max it in with the damage. And I tell you what, Ruiz, he is landing them charms right now.
Yeah, absolutely. They're giving Ruiz one of his favorite champions. They said we're not bothered about banning it. He is now the most fed member in the game. 3-0-0 here. RIX will be able to pick up at least a tower, but they're definitely going to lose Infernal off the back of this as well.
Look at the funnel. They realize the pressure, and they've immediately funneled onto the middle tier 2 turret. That's what they're aiming for. So the second they go for that, they say, fine, you take that top turret. I don't care. We have a tier 2 mid turret, and that is massive.
They're going to stay on the top side here. Looks like Leon's going aggressive under the tower. Doom trying to find that final break, and he should be able to pick up the kill.
Tried to delay it as long as he could, and he absolutely has. And if they get a second tier 2 for this one, that is not a good trade for RIX at the moment. They may well be able to get that top lane tier 2 turret, and they will do. So that gives them something. And now they're on the chase.
They're going for the inhibitor tower, right?
Yeah, they want to, because you can see they're chasing Queso down. They're stopping them recalling. They're trying to prevent them to recall, and they're going to get the damage down. Acolyte back up in 7 seconds. I don't think they have the wave here. Yeah, and it's a bit too early to try and get that down.
Yeah, very, very ambitious attempt. I think that RIX were between a rock and a hard place here. They had to try and find something that was going to give them a massive edge in this game. Almost caught out. There's a big Team Queso party trying to ward them out of the blue side jungle. They'll come away with the blue buff too. But I'd say that overall, Team Queso coming out net positive. They've also picked up the Infernal Drake off the back of this, which is great when you're scaling up with the Corki. You're worried if you're RIX now. You've got to turtle up. You've got to absorb that wave, absorb those waves for the Vayne, absorb those waves for Leon on this Fiora. and hope that you've got a little bit of late game power to get you back in when those big objectives like the Baron and the Elder Dragon start to come through.
So, speaking of that, Baron, 10 seconds, but it will be a 10-minute. Don't expect anybody to go for it. Yes, we did see some early Barons yesterday, but obviously no massive advantage aimed for either team at the moment. But ward controls, that's the one I'll start talking about. Vision. Leon coming in to test out Acolyte. Acolyte, of course, can just fall back to his turret. Doesn't fancy the 1v1 yet, despite the fact they're very much even on level terms, I feel, at the moment.
I feel like with the Fiora ultimate down, you've got to respect it, and Acolyte did. And the thing that's going to really hamper Leon here is, as you correctly mentioned, there is too many safe havens right now for Acolyte on that side of the map. Obviously, Leon wants to find the 1v1s, he wants to find the kills and make that split push pressure felt, but he's in a really awkward spot where Acolyte can just walk to his tier 1, and it's almost impossible for Leon to get any headway here. So it's a rough spot for Leon. He can't really find many advantages right now, as well as the fact that Acolyte is clearly trying to push to the side of the map where they already have those structure advantages.
So Memorize keeping his presence, and has certainly done very well on these tanky support champions so far. Feeling it with the Galio, of course, that hero's entrance. This is never happening.
Yeah, they knew Kha'Zix walked straight over a ward, Doom walked straight over a ward here. We have to go for a potential defense on this Baron. Andre wants to start the fight, but
what? They've got it down halfway. They've done a lot of damage. There's a charm coming through. It's Clue. The Glacial Fisher completely misses. They try and peel off around the side. The Exhaustor's gone down on Doom. Andreas goes in and looks for the kill, and they've managed to get Friend down immediately. Andreas is in all sorts of trouble. In comes Leon trying to get the damage down. It is a pretty much even trade at the moment as Friend gets picked off at the side there. Acolyte can't quite finish off Clue, but he's got a lot of damage to still give here, and the rest of Queso will chase him at mid.
I'm not really sure on the flash from Friend there. I think he was looking for the flash condemn at the start of that fight, but I tell you what, RIX got off absolutely scot-free from what could have been disastrous for them. I'm going to see exactly how they tried to respond. More time the better for RIX. If you're a fan of this team, you want this Vayne to get some time to scale up. You want Leon some more time to get those items behind him. I love what Team Queso are doing, though. They're just trying to force the issue around these neutral objectives. And as soon as Doom showed himself roaming away from that Baron, they were clinically attempting to go for the Baron. But obviously at this stage in the game, it is a very powerful and difficult objective to take. But they're still grouping up around it. They still want to make their presence felt and force RIX into some uncomfortable scenarios.
For Queso, they need Hero's Entrance back up. RIX
they're going to catch up. Oh, they've just one-shot him.
Yeah, they have one-shot Friend. Absolutely obliterated. Didn't even get a chance to move the camera over there. He was gone so quickly. That's a problem for RIX. They're going looking for it. The taunt comes in. Doom does manage to get the leap away, but he's immediately followed on by the Vi of Andreas. Managed to lock him down. They're going to go instead for Snitch. Snitch will be a quick, easy target. It goes gold, but that's only going to last for so long. Down goes the Diana of Snitch. And this is a real problem now for RIX.
So up basically Leon versus the world at this point. You can see the Clues trying to ward them away from the Baron. Leon just getting some mid lane prio. Are we going to get teleports coming out? Friend is about to respawn.
Well, Doom's gone back, so they do still have that smite to worry about, so they can't quickly rush for Baron. Instead, they're going to go down for the Drake. The Ocean Drake will be spawning in just a moment. And I like it. I like it. Yesterday, we saw Game Lord making some tactical errors, calling the Baron a little too early, despite what was available to them, and Queso benefited from it. They do not fall into that trap.
No, they're not going to take any risky chances at a 50-50 smite. And they're going to play it safe and get another Drake. A few more minutes and we'll have the Elder Mountain spawn. RIX lifeline that no major objectives have gone the way of Team Queso, though. That is what you're looking for if you're RIX. You just want to try and, again, absorb waves and absorb experience. It is a benefit that you can see that Leon on 11,500 gold. Snitch, despite being 0-2, is at 10,000. So they have been able to absorb as much as physically possible here. The people that need to get fed are getting fed at this point in time.
I do worry a little bit for Queso from that point of view, because they've actually dropped a 1,000 gold lead that they had. They had a 5,000 gold. It's down to 4 at the moment.
Yeah.
And they've got to be careful, because, you know, as games go long, champions get stronger. Some start to hit their power spikes. They tried to go for the Baron peel once. It worked. But they really didn't get any objectives from it.
Also, some major defensive items picked up for Friend, Doom, and Snitch. They all have that stasis enchant, which is going to shut down the Vi's attempt at locking people down. So it is a nice set of things that they have for this next team fight, which inevitably will occur because the Baron is being looked at by Team Queso right now. No teleports apart from on Darius. So Acolyte's got the teleport. Leon does not. It is something that we can look towards over the next few minutes for Team Queso to try and exploit, because there's no way of stopping the teleport if you're Leon. So if Acolyte wants to teleport here, Leon can't actually stop him, and Team Queso will get a natural man advantage.
Looking for the engage, but he's being very ballsy. There's not really the rest of his team around to help him out there, but it's just keeping his presence known, making sure he takes down the blast pack there, and they've started it once again. This time they have that ward still in the bush that Ruiz is stood on top of at the moment. Hasn't really found a perfect charm target. Completely telegraphs it onto Doom there, misses it badly. Memorize getting taken very low, and they've got to peel off the Baron, and this has not gone well for Queso.
No, they took a lot of damage there. They're just trying to bait RIX into a fight, but RIX again weathered the storm. Queso being maybe a little too edgy around the Baron. A really nice juke by Doom, though, to stop Ruiz finding the charm there. If Ruiz had charmed Doom, he was dead, and that would have been Baron straight over to Team Queso. Team Queso weathering the storm, RIX weathering the storm. Team Queso almost certainly still in the driving seat right now. But for how long? You do have that scaling vein to worry about. Leon is putting a bit of pressure down in the side lane. I would still say it's very heavily favored from Team Queso at this point.
And Leon, he can't afford to leave that lane at the moment because that tier 2 turret will go down so quickly. And you can see what Queso's clear objective is right now. Catch somebody out in that jungle on the top side, and maybe we can start off the Baron. But at the moment, RIX are doing a fantastic job at avoiding and mitigating that and actually punishing for it.
Yeah, and you can almost see there's a really key item that's getting built up right now for Friend. It is the Wit's End coming through. That's really important because we have a lot of magic damage coming out from Team Queso, from Ruiz and Ibu, and that's going to allow Friend to build a bit of tankiness, get a lot of crucial on-hit damage and a lot of crucial attack speed, which is very important to the way that he wants to play these team fights, clearly. Now, Leon doesn't have teleport, remember? They have started the Baron here, and it is getting chunked very quickly.
Yeah, because we're quite far into this one. There goes the Baron going down. Snitch goes in to try to get it forward. Doesn't matter. The Baron will be finished off. Snitch will drop, but now the trouble is really on RIX. Clue is taken very low. He tries to get away. Andreas will find him. Friend is now going to be the next target, but meanwhile, Leon continues to push that tier 2 turret. So they got a tier 1 and a tier turret out of that one. Leon now has to run.
They're trying to go for the end here. They're trying to stop Leon from backing. They have the Baron. They've got a big wave. They've got 30 seconds until the rest of RIX, but that's a flash taunt.
Oh, he's gone! Absolutely melted. The Nexus will fall, and Team Queso will take the first game in the Grand Finals in this best of 7.
And they're all the bit empowered as they were in their semi-final. War chants coming through from their side, the eyes being made over at RIX saying, you underestimate us, you're going to struggle. And they really popped off in that first game.
There was a clear goal throughout that one. They wanted Baron, they were setting up for Baron. And then the longer the game went, as you said, the Baron was being absolutely chunked because more and more items were getting bought, more was being accumulated to the fact that 2 people could do Baron, the rest were keeping everyone away. The second they caught someone, you knew it was going to be over.
Well, the Queso engine has now started to get in motion. It feeds itself off of energy. They've got that first win. They're going to be amping themselves up as the series goes on. But, gentlemen, for me, we're looking at the draft and looking at how the early game was played, and particularly for RIX, seemed like this was supposed to be Leon's game, or RIX tried to set it up. Queso did a fantastic job at kind of nullifying the impact that Leon could have.
Yeah, and I think, I'm going to be honest with you, putting draft aside, there was just a huge error around Rift Herald. I understand why they made the decision, right? They saw Acolyte bot, they were like, we can force a man advantage at Rift Herald with 5v4, we win this, pure numbers game, it's ours. Face checker Galio, locked up by the Vi ultimate. Snitch was the big team fight tool, especially in those early fights. He instantly gets deleted, and that's a problem, I think. That's a big problem.
I mean, they also came from multiple angles. The Braum was chasing the game. Yeah, he got his Glacial Fissure down, but it doesn't matter. Snitch was already dead, so they already lost the mid laner. I'd say it was a greedy play because they got the dragon, just take what you've got and say thank you. Instead, they tried to go for the fight.
I think if they followed Trid's advice and played a bit more through side lane and avoided early team fights, that would have been better for RIX overall. You've got a Vayne. She doesn't come online at half an item, you know, well, one item, at like sort of 4 or 5 minutes into the game. You need more time to get these guys into a position where they're going to carry. And I think, unfortunately, RIX just thought it was a numbers game in terms of pure 5v4. It didn't work out that way because of an excellent setup. And, I mean, D-Man talked about this in the pre-show. There is something that Queso are incredibly good at, and it is set up around global objectives. Both the Baron and Rift Heralds were masterclasses of setting up around global objectives. They weren't over-eager at Baron. They had a perfect setup at Rift Herald, and honestly, it was a greedy play from RIX. It was a very greedy play.
I actually think that that's the play that Will, over the Weatherman station, has actually got for us to take another look at.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys want to just wander over and do this for me, like I can go back up to the green room and have a bit of a sit down. But yes, this is exactly what we're going to be talking about in this play. As you can see, first thing I want to point out is the numbers advantage that's already been talked about on the desk. Darius is not going to be involved in this play at all. Doesn't need to be there, but that's fine because members are where they need to be. Let's start running this through. Also, should note, Corki package is available. They've got a Vi. You'll see why that's important in a minute. Let's start running this one through. And keep your eyes here on Mr. Ibu. Keep your eyes on where he's going, what his plan is, and how much damage he's doing. And also keep your eyes here and see exactly what happens. Let's clear this off and keep this one rolling. Right here. The health bar is already super low. Vi's not being stopped by anyone, and the package is also just being used. Now, damage dealers are in the back line, and RIX have really nothing they can do to deal with it. They've got no peel, no support, and yes, Leon's there, Doom's there, but they're all having to either flash out or die. And right now, it's looking like RIX are doing more dying than getting away. Yes, Friend gets out, but it's an absolute massacre in the jungle down here. It's an absolute massacre in the river. They lose out on the objective. And then from there, that's the first real indication that we're going to see an easy Team Queso win. And yes, it was well fought by RIX towards the end, but they just didn't have enough. So, 6 more like that, please, guys. 6 more like that?
I'll take it. I'll take it.
I mean, I'm hoping for maybe less throws at about 4 minutes into the game, but I think hit the nail on the head there. I think ultimately you were trying to walk into a team fight where they had the superior team fight, like especially at that stage in the game. Like your team fight eventually relied, I think, on the power of a split push through Leon. You know, well, that's not a team fight. Split push through Leon, kind of giving you the edge in terms of drawing attention towards him, or the fact you just needed Vayne to ramp up here.
I mean, for me, honestly, I thought RIX, they knew exactly what Queso were doing. They've done it all the way through. They've focused the Rift Herald. So, okay, let's try and play around that. And we thought they were doing it. We thought they played around it.
Genius around the map. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah, we thought they sorted it perfectly. But the problem is they didn't focus on actually getting vision in that round the river area, which they couldn't because they had no control of it. So it's okay, we don't have control of it, so let's not fight there.
I just want to quickly point out that RIX knew this was going to happen like at least 2 minutes beforehand because they rotated their bot lane top.
They knew it was going to happen yesterday.
To create natural priority around the Rift Herald, then went to Dragon for a free Dragon because Leon had complete priority in his lane, and then they're like, let's just fight Rift Herald anyway because we have a numbers advantage. But they kind of discounted composition and compositional strength when it came to that stage of the game, and they got punished for it.
They knew the theory, they had it all rehearsed, but they couldn't execute on the plan they had. We're going to go to a break. When we come back, game number 2, Queso, RIX GG.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to, I was about to say sunny Stockholm, but I don't really know what the weather's like. I've not been outside for a while.
Smoky Stockholm?
Smoky Stockholm. It is Team Queso up against RIX GG for the Wild Rift Origin Series Championships Finals. What is at stake? Well, there's 153,000 euros on the line and a place at the Horizon Cup, obviously in November, which will be played out in Singapore. That massive international tournament. We're all looking forward to it. Let's see what the pick and bans are going to be. Senna coming straight out, and also should point out that Queso obviously on the blue side again, and RIX obviously choosing red.
Yeah, RIX chose red off the back of that loss there. Senna not going to get seen. It looks like Team Queso on blue side. Happy to take that away. It's not a first pick priority for them. They don't want to give the opportunity over to RIX either. Let's see. Was the Ahri a problem? Do RIX think the Ahri was a problem in this scenario? The ban strategy worked for Team Queso last time round. They ain't going to change it, I feel. We're going to see the same bans for them before this.
Well, it was a Galio first pick. They do go with the ban on Ahri, despite the fact they're talking about we don't see it as a problem. Yesterday, of course, we were talking about it because both, obviously, Ruiz and Veos were very much heavy on the Ahri. This time it is taken away. That means the Zig's also going to get banned out, and the Camille, which leaves
Galio for a first pick.
Galio as a first pick again for Queso, yes.
Yeah, I think that's the sensible choice here. Now let's see what RIX decide to opt into. Do we see Leon go back toward more Bruiser? Do we give Leon more space in the draft for a counter here? It looks like Fiora straight away.
Ooh. Now, what I was about to say is Lee Sin is open, so I was wondering if they were going to go for that.
Yeah, they
well
do.
Yes, there we go. Kind of expected it. Yeah, so that could, of course, be on Leon or Doom. Obviously, the Fiora coming out, we would expect it to be on Doom. And Leon will be on the Fiora.
Yes, we'd expect the lead to be on Doom, absolutely. But again, that flexibility between these two players is something that has been a major strength for RIX. over the course of these Origin Series. Zaya Rakan, old school Team Queso, gets locked in here.
And the winning combo for yesterday against the Game Lord, obviously, it was the combo that worked for them, the Zaya Rakan. I mean, paired with Galio as well, it gives such a massive, massive knockup value.
Plenty of people. Janna comes through. We have not seen much Janna.
I think we had one.
We had one game. I think we had one game
like
of Janna day one, and it's Ezreal Janna that comes through for RIX here. This is probably, individually speaking, for Clue and Friend, probably their best two champions. So they're clearly meaning business in the second game of the series. Acolytes Renekton does get locked in here. It is a tough early matchup, but do expect Team Queso to go for a double mid strategy again. They're going to try and get an early level 2 for Renekton. They're going to translate back into the Baron lane, and it'll be Kha'Zix for Andre. Now, that's not an easy matchup into Lee Sin, by the way, but they said Corki has been given over to Snitch. That was something that was so successful for him in the series versus Unicorns of Love. So I would say that RIX come out with a maybe more comfortable draft for them in terms of individual picks, but it is a very comfortable draft as well for Team Queso.
There's very little front line for RIX though.
When have they ever drafted front line?
I mean, you got a monsoon to like blow them away. Who knows? Let's get the game underway, ladies and gentlemen. Game 2, it is Queso leading the first matchup, and we were talking about, obviously, Litmus says throughout the whole of the first day, well, a battle between these two. We know it has gone the distance before. That's been in best of 5s. Here we are in a best of 7. Yes, I said 7, incredibly enough. And at the moment, we've got a bit of a little team fight shenanigans potentially at the start. Obviously, we've been talking about Acolyte getting that tier 2. Well, look at this. Leon's doing the same. Yeah,
he doesn't want to get caught out by an early level 2 for Acolyte here, so they have the better push at this stage. Acolyte takes a lot of damage. This is actually a good punish from RIX. That is a strategy that has been working out consistently for Team Queso, but I say that Clue has taken a bunch of damage early on in this bot lane. So natural priority because Clue did commit to that mid lane engage for RIX. However, he won't lose too many minions. I think Friend should stay within the XP range here, able to just farm safely with that Mystic Shot. But a good start for Leon, sacrificed some pressure in the bot lane for it, however.
Yeah, I wonder whether they were going to try and punish Friend to try and step forward. You can see Memorize wants to go for this, and will. There's the Grand Entrance, gets the knock-up, the damage will come through. Nice little punish there, and that keeps them away from the minion wave. The second Clue returns, will get a bit of Honey Fruit, and backs away. Acolyte has done the same, had that Honey Fruit. Leon takes a bit of damage from the minions, actually, there.
He still has his Honey Fruit available, though, so Leon can go back and get that. That means he's got a pretty major HP advantage. And, of course, Doom, we know that how he likes to vertical jungle. Could very easily see him try and dive Acolyte. Acolyte's not even going to take the risk, though, and he will lose some minions to the tower here.
And lost the level advantage over Leon. That could be absolutely punishing. We'll keep our eye on that one as it plays out. Here's a bit of a little focus around the mid. Andreas has joined us here. Memorize is ready, looking for Clue. Yeah, I think a bit of a telegraph there with the Andreas going down. Clue's like, nope, I'm off.
We'll see another vertical jungle split. It's about whether you can convert this, though. There is a 4-man dive towards Friend, and Ibu's positioning has given this away completely, I feel. So Friend just going to dive away. I think Ibu a little bit quick to pull the trigger there, but it has allowed them to get into that blue side jungle. But I say that Friend and Clue have had a really tough early game. Leon is freezing top lane, however. So Acolyte still starved out from experience and levels.
Well, I tell you what, Friend is risking it coming back there. And, Memorize just stood right on top of a ward. Oh, Doom just misses it and goes away. And wasting a little bit of time for everyone there. Nobody really gaining from that one.
No, Doom does still have his blue buff available, though, so should be able to take that down. He's a little further behind Andre in terms of experience, but that should catch relatively quickly. I say the RIX. Their bot lane has classically been called very strong. That's a lot of damage.
There's the Grand Entrance, and that's Clue's going down. Just stuck around a little too long there, feeling the confidence as they caught Ibu out. Wasn't ready for Memorize to rejoin the party.
No, Clue unfortunately just punished in this early game for committing very heavily to that bot side, or that mid side 2v2. You have to hope this is paying off for Leon on the top side of the map. Gold advantage weighed in favor of Team Queso again. Leon does have level 5 to Acolyte's level 4 right now, but is Andre making his way up to the top side of the map?
It's interesting because we haven't seen too many of those duo lane battles. Acolyte almost baiting this one, telegraphing it a little too deep there. Andreas will jump in onto Leon there, but he should be able to get away. Taste of Fear sort of signifying that for Leon. That's where that big chunk of damage came from. Leon turns it around, tries to go in for Andreas. Is it going to be enough with that Ignite running? True Shot Barrage is not going to land, and he will back away. Yeah, Doom's coming around the backside. Is he close enough? Yeah, he's going to take that tower hit. That may well prevent it. He's going to try and shove the wave in, and Andreas has managed to get himself topped off enough that he should be safe, yeah.
And you can see the bot lane also. Heavy roams coming out from our support. This is very reminiscent of PC League meta right now. Both Clue and Memorized roaming around the map. Memorized has got that big experience advantage now, though, has unlocked his ultimate, the quickening available for use. Team Queso, again, taking control of the early game here, just through really smart macro play and a very, very good awareness.
Doom a little out of position there. Wanted to try and get down, and this is what we talked about. He got the ward down. That's exactly what we're after at the Rift Herald.
And you'll see Rift Herald has spawned, a lot of resources committed. I think this time round, RIX will just settle for the Dragon. And they're going to be, at least Leon running a bit of distraction around this Rift Herald for the time being, though. I
think he got a second ward down as well. It's probably just been cleared out there, but the Drake will indeed go across. So simple Ocean Drake going to be picked up by RIX GG. There is the Herald being collected by Queso. This time, as you pointed out, they're not going to fight for it. Well, Leon is certainly going to be a nuisance and not let them take it quite so freely as they would like here. He's going to try and steal it. He's going to try and steal it. He's going to try and steal it. The True Shot Barrage comes across. Andre taken very low here. Leon will get himself a kill, and in comes the rest of the team. Snitch catching onto Ruiz. Ruiz will be able to back away from that one. They didn't secure, did they? Did they secure it? No, they didn't. They got the Rift Herald in the end. Queso did, so I think Andreas smited it. No, Andres didn't use his smite. Did they secure it?
They secured it. They secured it. They have got it, I believe. Andre picked that up. Leon does pick up the kill, though. That is a nice little injection of gold for this man. He's got 600 in the favor. He's trying to take out Ruiz as well. And that will be a big chunk of damage. They have to make this Fiora work for them this time round. It was something that they invested a lot of resources in the previous game. This time round, they're able to do it. Let's take a look back here. Andre pops that ultimate, the grand challenge onto him. He does smite it away, so he had double stack of smite here. Really nice use of the riposte to buy a bit of time for Leon, who then jumps in again with the lunge to pick up that kill. Again, resources on Leon. We need to see them converted this game because they were not in the previous.
Well, a one-for-one trade. I think that's perfectly fair. Despite the fact they knew the Rift Herald was going, it was certainly worth the challenge from Leon. This time they didn't commit the team to it, but definitely very close. Just the 400 gold between them now. If ever there's a way of saying we know you're there, that is it.
You can see the Bramble Vest picked up by Acolyte here. It is one of the ways to counter an early Fiora. Doom forces the flash out of Acolyte very early on here in this trade. Not going to allow Doom to go for a flash kick. And Leon, you birding the Grand Challenge. You will note, though, Grand Challenge has a ridiculously short cooldown. Yeah. And Leon should have that backup available soon.
Yeah, the Ignite was burnt as well, so it does take one summoner for summoner, but obviously keeping hold of that flash is going to be a benefit for Leon. And it does mean Acolyte will collect himself a chunk of gold there. Andreas has gone back, so he's gone to buy as well. Meanwhile, the rest of the team, we do see an adjustment here. As you can see, the split push almost starting off early this time. Of course, the bonus is for Ruiz that he can always generally join that party with the hero's entrance.
But Ruiz is kind of capitalized or pushed or put into the side lane, rather. So they're allowing their solo lanes to absorb solo experience in the side lanes here. Memorized and Andre are just waiting around to try and catch Leon out, but they walk straight over a ward. Leon wasn't going to fight. There's the kick, though.
Acolyte's in trouble. No flash, remember. He burnt it already. Has got that barrier available, but that's about all he can use to try and keep himself safe. Barrier goes down. Not enough to keep him safe, and Snitch will collect the kill.
Doom didn't even have to use flash in that scenario either. We're going to see Ruiz pilot his way up towards the top lane to prevent that tier 1 going down. Team Queso desperate to get something out of this, though. They're going to drop the Rift Herald, so it is going to be a straight-up race that I don't think that RIX can win.
I love that from Leon, though. Immediately realizing it and saying, you know what, I'm just going to go take Gromp. I know what you're doing. I can't stand around on this tower. But you know what? Now he's gone away. He's gone looking for it. He's fighting Andreas in the river there as the Rift Herald comes down. Just a little poke back and forth between the two. Andreas will sweep it out. Memorize goes in, doesn't land the grand entrance.
You can see RIX playing this a lot slower this time round. They're not making any crazy plays. They don't want to land themselves in a team fight that isn't going to work out for them. And that, when you're sitting on a Corki, a Fiora, and an Ezreal, playing the game slow suits RIX fine. You have superior range over Team Queso as the game progresses. These team fights will be won by pure range advantage. And you mentioned there's no front line, but something that Janna does incredibly well is create space. And that creates space for RIX, and it creates space for Snitch in these team fights. That's probably where RIX are trying to find their edge, and they're likely looking to ramp up towards a 15 or 16-minute fight around the Elder Dragon. That's where their carries are really going to be online.
I'm loving Memorize warding. He's always active, making sure everything is safe, and feels clearly very confident in his Rakan. As he's mentioned before, it's kind of like the old school Queso. So, Mounted Drake spawns. 3 seconds time, and that is going to be certainly the object of focus for both of these teams. Acolyte and Leon, just a trade on the top there. Leon just forcing Acolyte to back away from that. Just a brief moment there, and now RIX will take control of the Scuttle Crab. It's going to give them vision around that Drake. Very important.
I love this.
Upcoming fight.
Snitch has got package. They can't approach Snitch with package because it'd be too easy for him to zone them away from the Drake, and they are being bullied from range by both Snitch and Friend. You can't walk into Snitch and Friend when they have this kind of advantage. They are trying to go for a potential steal here. Snitch is going to have to burn this. Oh, that's a brilliant package.
Goes straight across. Memorize goes involved, and there goes the Drake fight. That's who's involved. They managed to catch on to Leon down the side there, but Andreas has been singled out. The smite comes through, doesn't manage to lock it down, does manage to get the Dragon though, so that's going to cross the Queso at the moment. They're going to try and turn and burn on this one. Acolyte with the Dominus running, it's going to be enough. Clue caught out in the back of the pit, he will go down, but look at the damage onto Ibu. Ibu just dodges out of the True Shot barrage. That was massive because it would have finished him off there, and that collects them another kill. A 3-for-1 engagement, and the Drake goes to Queso.
Oh, RIX just about played it perfectly until the end, and as you mentioned, the True Shot barrage went wide. That could have been game-changing, but I've got to give credit to Team Queso. They played that perfectly, got into the Dragon Pit, they forced the 50-50 smite versus Doom, and Andre comes out on top there, and they get the team fight win. Not enough time right now for Snitch and Friend to be able to scale up. Huge win for Team Queso. Confidence as well as we head to this crucial next 5 minutes.
I wasn't able to see what they'd done because I saw Leon did a straight run down. Acolyte went back, obviously topped off his health, and I assume he bought as well. So that single item could have been huge because he was the big tanky front line. Let's have a look at this.
Look, Snitch had a really good package. It stopped the quick hitting, it stopped the engage from Andre. It was a redemption to try and catch Leon and Friend out here, but as you mentioned, Leon just overextended. He got caught out. He didn't use the riposte in time and got battered on the sidelines. They didn't focus down Drake quickly enough. They were trying to take down Andre. They didn't want to force the 50-50 smite. And Acolyte just gets in the pit with his ultimate, has that Gargoyle's enchant going, makes him impossible to take down. And I've got to say, they played this absolutely perfectly. Clue caught out, no flash. They immediately focused him down. Ibu uses that Featherstorm to try and buy him some time and zone out the rest of the enemies away from Clue. Really well played on all fronts by Team Queso there. And RIX, again, now caught against the ropes versus a very strong Team Queso.
And if I'm not mistaken, if you look close on Andreas there, I think he got the Void Spikes off, which gave him that big lifesteal chunk just before he went down, which bought him the time to get the smite in as well. But look at this. As this was all playing out, we saw a little bit of picture-in-picture action there. No real engagement, but you can see Queso trying to bully down this turret. One hit, and that's gone. But the rest of RIX do respond to this. Now, Leon is trying to head his way up here, and I think they're kind of realizing the danger situation they may be in. They will get the tower. Objective goes their way, and that's all Queso are fighting for.
Now they've got real priority around that top side of the map. Sets up for another little Baron dance, which Queso was so good at doing in the previous game, and they've started to form this roaming death squad. Engaged from Memorized, follow up by Ruiz, and they're able to catch people out. Those individual picks, very important to the way that Team Queso are playing in that previous game, and you're actually noting now that Leon is not actually doing a lot of side lane stuff. He's joining his team, trying to support them, trying to prevent any kind of crazy team fights from breaking out where he's not able to influence them. And I've got to praise the vision from Team Queso again. Good vision control around the red side entrances, good vision control in the river. They know exactly where RIX are at all times right now. There is a siege going on to that mid lane tier 1.
That death cap almost completed by Ruiz. He's going to start to punish with those Winds of War, but at the moment, river control, obviously making sure that Leon doesn't take that bottom lane. I like the pressure from Acolyte, keeping it forced onto towards those tier 2s, because we know that Queso, they want that mid-tier 1 turret. That is their next objective.
Got to really praise Team Queso for the way they play their side lanes. I praised it yesterday. Their wave control is some of the best in this tournament. They're constantly keeping the waves, creating natural pressure for them. You can just note it now. Leon being boxed towards his own tier 2. There is another wave that's going to keep Corki in at his own tier 2 as well. That takes time to push back towards Team Queso, and that time is what Team Queso uses to establish good vision control around these objectives. Their wave control is some of the best in this tournament, and it has won them many games. And it's currently beating out RIX right now as well.
That ward that Memorize has placed many times is going to buy them the vision they need on that right-hand side as they try and focus towards this. Obviously, the Drake now spawning out there. That will be certainly the objective, tower or Drake. They're happy for either. The kick onto Andreas. Andreas does get away with it, though. And of course, that is the bonus. He can just leap away, and now they're going to try and lock down. Acolyte comes in. Ruby's given the hero's entrance. Didn't really catch anyone there. Some big tools in the arsenal of Queso. Wasted.
Yeah, and you can see that Snitch and Leon just on that front line now. The Gargoyle's gone.
They've separated.
Acolyte's ultimate's dropped as well. There's some really huge tools that are now done. That's a huge engage!
Ruiz goes diving in there. Snitch gets out with the package, and that's one way to escape. There's no doubt about it. The Drake has been pulled out of his pit, but that's not the focus. Clue gets caught. Good grand entrance from Memorize there to knock him up, and no follow-up.
Going to try and clear this wave out desperately now. They haven't actually gone for the Dragon. They're trying to prevent that tier 1 in the mid lane going down. You can see they do defend it with their lives. RIX have got to back here. Oof. That's a huge chunk coming out from Ruiz. That AP Galio still hurts, despite the nerfs that he received all those months ago. AP Galio still chunks like crazy.
This is the thing. They're keeping the pressure on that tier 1 turret. They will take it down. This time around, they get the lockup as well. Snitch in trouble, goes gold, but he won't get away from this. The flash comes through, gets followed through by Ibu. Ibu goes a little too deep. The knockback from Memorize forces him away. The Drake was picked up. Objectives both going the way of Queso there in terms of tower and Drake.
And you can see they've got a 6k gold lead. Andre just waiting on the sidelines. He gets him.
Woo! Out of nowhere. Hello. Snipe fest from Andreas. The power that Kazik still has and commands that taste of fear separating his team.
He's got a huge level advantage over Doom right now as well. We're looking at a potential 2-0 for Queso. RIX constantly boxed into their own side of the map. Pushed in time and time again, the wave control being a massive win for Team Queso, and now surely they can start to set up for that Baron. That's just, again, a nice little pick-off. Andre waited, he bowed his time, no one supporting Snitch, no one really, again, vision control being the winner here for Team Queso. Leon's going for it, the 1v1 right now.
Tries to go in with the grand challenge, just forces him away, and Acolyte, that's the power that he still has. He has those towers to fall back on, and the Baron being started out there. They know that Leon just used that ult. They took it down to half. They're going to go look for the peel. That is going to be a kick away. Andreas tries to go in, catches on. Oh my word, absolute decimation as Doom drops like a stone.
Yeah, Doom way too aggressive with his positioning there. Great kick to start things off, but then unfortunately played it very awkwardly around Memorized following that. Memorized still had that grand entrance available. Maybe Doom a little baited. Didn't really realize that was the case. It's going to have to be an attempted crazy steal, but RIX can't do anything about it. And that is a Baron take now for Team Queso. Clue is massively out of position.
Snitch gets caught. There's the grand challenge going. The knock-up. Snitch will go down. Can't go gold. Use that stasis earlier on. And they are maximizing the potential right now. They knew as soon as they'd taken Doom down, that removes the smite. There was no true shot barrage that was used earlier on. Snitch was forced away. And the absolute tools that RIX had are completely nullified.
I think this Galio needs to be on the ban list for RIX next time round. It's being too much damage, too much control. And I think the team fight is just way too strong. RIX, again, trying to play through the side lane through Leon. It's just not worked out for them. They haven't been able to control the waves as well as Team Queso have. And you can see they're going for it. They have to, though.
Leon trying to go in there. Bottom turret being shoved in by Acolyte, so Team Queso can just swing down there. The engage is nullified. Remember, they have that Baron buff, so it's just going to swing back in their favor. Ibu being very aggressive on what is a tried and tested Rakan Zaya combo. They know and very confident in it. That is aggression. That right there. Pop you go straight away. Ruiz going in for that one. Memorize looking for the grand challenge. Doesn't quite land it. They can just pull out of this one. They've stuck around a little too long. Memorize will survive. Got a 1-for-1 with the 2 inhibitors down. They might try and finish, but I think they should back.
Oh, that's a really, really good engage. Oh, great stasis.
Doom looking for the kill, looking for the pickup. Memorize goes in. That will certainly be a kick, but no! He was looking for Ibu, and he will back in the end. And Queso, though, the damage has been done. They're now going looking for the Elder.
They're trying to catch out Doom. Doom was attempting to go for that Rift Scuttler, but he will not be able to get it. Acolyte's looking for the Ruthless Predator stun, but won't be able to find it this time round, and the back comes through. Very low HP on the Nexus for RIX. And the Elder Infernal spawning in around 30 seconds time. The team fight infinitely in favor of Team Queso. No package available for Snitch. It will have to be a Hail Mary play from RIX with an inferior team fight. Really feel like they need to be drafting more team fight orientated about Team Queso because they are not winning through side lanes right now.
Look at the vision that Queso have. Obviously, yes, they've made that big push, but they can see the entire south side of the jungle. They know where people are, and that's why they can go for these engagements. Doom goes down. That nullifies any attempt for this Elder, and that is going to go Queso's way. It's a huge buff for Queso, and RIX know they have to fight for it. With the inferior numbers, 4v5, they're going to look in for it. Leon's trying to get away, but he just gets knocked up after knock-up, and they cannot escape anymore. Friend will be the next to fall, as Clue also gets locked down. Snitch runs away, but there's nothing they can do. Queso will have this game.
They're going to push through. Easy as you like for Team Queso. And once again, upset the odds from RIX. I've got to say, D-Man, they're drafting very heavily for Leon. The resources are there, but they just can't make it work through the side lane, and they have inferior team fights. Again, I understand what the Janna, the Corki, and the Ezreal was supposed to do, but it needed too much time to get there. And honestly, RIX are giving up way too much in the early game. They're not allowing themselves that breathing room to get to the late game, to get that Ezreal and that Corki online. They're not allowing them to have these team fights where, Ezreal and Corki are going to batter you from range. It's tickling from range at this point in time because they're just not getting the items that they need. I'm going to be honest with you. You need to start to think about how you can be a lot more combative in the early game versus Team Queso, because their vision control, their macro around objectives, their wave control is far superior. They are beating RIX at every single core mechanic in the game, and RIX needs a complete reset, really, when it comes to this.
I don't know if we're actually going to be able to look at it again, but I know there was a moment where they went for that Baron attempt, and you correctly called it very aggressive with the positioning of it. There was no vision in the Baron pit. He had to assume that was going on. It forced him to make an error. And that was the story, I feel like, a lot of the mid to late game where the lack of vision just caused so many problems for RIX GG.
I feel like it's been a story about anybody that's faced Queso. They have been superior on vision every single time. I can't name a game where Queso have been poorly controlling the vision. They haven't. They've won, I think, primarily through vision control and excellent wave control almost all the time, and great macro and play around objectives, of course, as well. I just feel like if you're RIX, you need to take a breather. You need to say, okay, right, what are we doing wrong? Okay, we're trying to invest resources into Leon. It's not working out for us. We're not getting enough early tier 1 towers to allow him to expand that 1v1 potential in the side lane. We either need to invest very early in towers so that Leon has more breadth in the side lane, or we need to go back to the drawing board and say, Galio's too much of an issue. We need to cut the team fight down. We need to make it so that we have more even odds when it comes to a 5v5.
I would say the same. I would definitely reinvest and look towards that Camille ban they've been using and maybe use it for the Galio, because the team fight potential that has added both on Memorize and Ruiz have just proven absolutely to decimate them when it comes to that fight. Because I was talking about it, like, where is the front line? What are you going to do to prevent? You're going to get this big knock-up come in. Renekton's going to follow on. You've got this big, beefy front line you've got to get round. Poor old Friend and Snitch, they're just looking for an angle, and every time they have been the focus targets, be it a Vi diving on you or anyone that's been just able to focus them up, the carries are not getting the damage down, and when they die first, well, team fight, forget it. You've got no damage to back it up.
And oftentimes we saw a lot of times where Snitch was having to almost use, he had a great disengage by the Dragon. You called it out as well with the package, able to shut down Andreas and Rakan going in there. I don't know if that's what we got lined up, but we'll throw it over to Carmeline, who's probably got to play to break down for the fast game.
Hey! Hi, I'm back here just to break down one of the most important plays of the game. In fact, I'd say the game ending play. We can see it right here. Minute 18-16, so we're approaching, as I said, the end of the game. Look at the position of the teams, both of them in the Ruby zone. In the case of RIX GG, in a very difficult position, just 4 kills behind Team Queso. And now we're gonna see what they can do to finally get over with it. So we're gonna just press play quietly. Once again, let's go here. Okay, first of all, let's look at Andre's set, shall we? Jump right into the middle with Memorize as well. Memorize, of course, playing a Raiken. He can do that kind of thing. We're gonna see slowly what happens right here. The Elder responds, but will we really care about it? No, because at this point we've got the members of RIX GG here caught in the air trying to run away, but it's not gonna be that easy. Right now, let's keep on watching. The Dragon spawns, the hero's entrance comes right here from Galio, just to join the rest of the team, but Leon, perhaps the strongest team member here in RIX GG, being caught right there, low life as well. The only ones that can truly make an escape out of this are Snitch and Friend, but don't just take it for something that is gonna happen, because it isn't going to happen. Look at this, they kill onto Leon finally. This to get exhausted. Again, trying to run. The super minions being right there with a little bit of a wave here, but not enough to protect them. I'm gonna keep on watching. They finally get onto Fiora, finally. Still, we've got her bloody faction. And now let's follow up a little bit, shall we? Okay, we're gonna take things slowly now because I want to show you right this. Wait, okay, here. Andreas said, Kha'Zix, the first one to jump into the team fight now. Lone Life has to retreat, but it's not a big deal. Why? Well, because look at it. Friend has already been killed. Clue going to be the next one. There is really nowhere to escape. Snitch is gonna be the only one left in here to try and do something. Both of them trying to get the base before the enemy team catches onto them. But once again, Snitch being killed right there. Not enough movement speed to do it. Clue just having to go back to base alone as Jenna. That finally is gonna put an end to this game. So this has been the clip, guys. I hope you enjoy it, and I'm sending it back to the analyst ask right now.
Thank you so much, Carmeline. And oh, D-Man, Scoundrel, it's probably not going the way we thought. We thought we were getting a 7-map series. It's looking like
we've still got time. We've still got time.
Yeah, I know. Adaptations are needed. Maybe some changes in the draft as you highlighted.
We went this way yesterday. We went the same way. Obviously, 2-0 for Queso. We saw Game Lord come back. Now, I can see the analyst behind. You can't see him. We can see him.
Yeah.
He's sat there with his book. I want to know what's going on there because the bans, I feel, are going to be pretty huge. The composition that RIX choose, as you said, I want to see them fighting for that early game. We know that Queso go for Rift Herald. Leon kind of semi-contested it. Maybe that's the point of entry, get that early game set up.
That part of the game was fine. I actually think they played, up until the Rift Herald part, I think they played that fine. But it's just about how they then failed to translate that into any meaningful advantage. And that's the problem when you're playing pure split push. It's difficult to do that.
Well, it looks like they need to adapt the draft, and maybe they need to find a way to get Leon out of that Dragon Lane jail that he finds himself in perpetually. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, game number 3, Queso RIX GG.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wild Rift Origin Series Championships. It is the grand finals of RIX GG, currently 2-0 down to Team Queso, who have been pretty much dominant in the first 2 games in terms of objective control, team fighting. Everything has been going their way. What are RIX going to do to respond? They switch sides. That's what they're going to do.
One observation, they need someone to be a voice for them. That's good. They've switched sides. They've banned Galio. I like it. I think that they need someone to step up for them for voice, right? Ruiz has got his team going. You can feel the energy from Queso again. This is when they are striking, when they're hot. They are absolutely on fire. RIX are quiet. I want to see someone step up and just at least get the team hyped again, at least get them in the zone. It just feels like they're a little bit sort of low on energy, but they are on that blue side. They are taking a different ban strategy. They're trying to change things up for this game. The Galio goes away. We said that needed to happen. The Camille goes down. Gragas is banned. Senna is banned. Zig's still up at the moment.
As is the Ari as well. I'm going to see. Okay, the Kha'Zix being banned out, so they're taking that one away from Andreas. He's been doing very well on that so far, which leaves it to Queso. Do you ban Ziggs? What do you leave alive? Lee Sin, was it that big of an issue yesterday? Yeah. Probably not. The Ziggs will go.
So Acolyte does play a really, really good Fiora, and this is maybe something that RIX will want to consider. What do you first pick in this scenario? Ari obviously will likely go over towards Ruiz, but they're going to go for the Riven, which was banned on blue side again. Now, Riven is something that I don't think RIX played especially well on the first day, but it is something that does get banned against them pretty frequently.
Yeah, we had this discussion, right? It was the Lee Sin RIX combo, and we're like, is there something we're seeing here, something they know about? But as it didn't really work out that special. But of course, the Ari was allowed through, and it will be first picked once again for Ruiz.
It's interesting. They're going to go for the Lee Sin here for probably Andre. He doesn't really, I don't really see Acolyte play that in the top lane. So it'll be the Lee Sin that gets locked in 14k. So Snitch isn't a massive Ari player, so I wouldn't have expected Snitch to lock in the Ari in his rotation. I think his usual answer in this scenario, the Xin Zhao. That is something that we have not seen.
Doom, he is back.
Yeah, we need that though. We need Doom to be back here because this is something that RIX are struggling with. They're going to go for the Seraphine, which could very easily go mid or bot. I think we usually see Twisted Fate as an answer into Ari from Snitch, but we'll see how the rest of the draft progresses.
Yeah, but I mean, they can't really. We'll see what they go with. The Stoner getting locked in. Okay, what sort of...
That's because
they go for a Dragon Laner now, or do we leave the top laner to last?
Oh, Lux. Okay, it's Lux Sona.
For the first time in the Rift, Wild Rift Origin Series.
That's Lux Sona. Lux Sona bot lane. The reason you deny the Sona is because you deny Seraphine Sona, which is a really obnoxious combo. You then deny Seraphine Lux. This is also a very obnoxious combo. So they are going to go for the Sona Lux bot lane. You feed the Sona. Lux is
Pantheon,
the support.
hello.
Pantheon comes through. What?
Is that a Riven mid? Is that a Pantheon mid?
Yeah, maybe actually. That might actually be Pantheon mid coming through from Snitch. Although
Darius top. Okay, so what do you put against the Darius? Do you go with the Riven or do you go with the Pantheon?
Both are good.
Yeah.
Both are decent into the Darius, especially early game. You've got to be a little careful post level 5. Let's see how this shakes out. It's definitely going to be Seraphine the bot lane, Seraphine Braum.
And with the Braum, yeah, and there is a bit more of a front line there as well. I kind of like both of these picks. I'm not going to lie. I'm not seeing a massive favourite for either side. Let's get that game underway, ladies and gentlemen, as we jump into it on the Rift. And it is, of course, RIX GG starting out on the blue side this time, 2 games down. Will Queso, who are 2-0 up, be able to lock in a very quick pause, very quick match point as they look to try and go for a quick invade. They're a 5-man stack from RIX.
That's usually what you do with the Braum. You do try and rush it down.
Well, you got the Pantheon as well, so you can...
Yeah, you're looking for a stun, a double stun, something like that. You get a quick little first blood, get you the mental edge back into it. It was a quick pause. We're going to hopefully get that underway. Not only match point, it'll be championship point as well.
Point, indeed, yeah,
Team
indeed.
Queso if they can win this one out. Now, I will take this time to just explain why Lux Sona and Seraphine Sona, etc. have been pretty popular. There are a lot of items that really benefit shielding and healing in this game. So things like the Harmonic Echoes and the Staff of Flowing Water, they actually benefit double enchanter lanes very heavily. And so what you usually tend to see, especially with Sona Lux, if you give that comp enough time, you ain't killing them. There's too much
shielding,
there's too much shielding and too much healing. It's very difficult to deal with them.
Rooting.
So the one thing that I would say though is I think the RIX have drafted a team fight that can deal with it, but you need to get it right on first attempt. You have to have a brilliant Seraphine setup to get the huge burst damage out from the Pantheon and the Riven. Riven is the key member here who can probably burst out those squishy targets in the backline before they have a chance to constantly heal and shield up. So that's what you're looking for from RIX. They actually have drafted more of a wombo combo team fight this time around. They are trying to take Team Queso on where they have been strongest, which is in those 5v5 team fights. We are no longer seeing pure side lane pressure from RIX this time round. And Team Queso, they've got the scaling this time round. They've got the Sona Lux. That is a very scaling bot lane. It's something that you might remember probably 2 years ago in League of Legends was actually pretty popular for the same reasons that you're seeing it popular in Wild Rift.
Yep, absolutely. Let's get into the game, ladies and gentlemen. Whatever the pause was, doesn't matter. They got the ward. That's what counts. Power. But yeah, I mean, honestly, going back to it, if you get caught by this combo, this setup of RIX, you are not getting out of it. There's too much lockup, too much control, and the damage can easily be layered on top. For Queso, I think it's pretty clear. We're going to be looking at that split lane pushing once again that Acolyte and Ruiz really perform very well with that objective control. I'm just very interested to see how they're going to deal with that teamfight prowess. Now they don't have that Galio.
It's a nice lockup very early on here into Ibu. It's actually Memorize playing the Sona and Ibu playing the Lux, which is interesting because you usually feed the Sona here. Instead, they're actually choosing to feed the Lux, which is what strikes me as a little odd. Now, Acolyte's going to catch Leon out early on, build some stacks up. Leon takes a bit of damage here, but will happily trade back against Acolytes, and all teams just playing it very, very carefully. Snitch has to be careful in the mid lane, though. He's vulnerable to Ruiz, especially with that charm.
Didn't it used to be a faker mid with Riven?
Yeah, long time ago. Yeah. Riven mid
back.
was something that was maybe Season 3, Season 4 Worlds. We saw a decent amount of it.
I kind of feel like Froggen tried it long ago as well, I'm pretty sure. But anyway, that's going back some serious League of Legends history. And this is Wild Rift. They're making history of their own as what will be the first European champion effectively here. Now, Snitch does get charmed up. Bit of damage for him. He's already eaten the honey fruit, I think. No, it isn't. It's still there, I can see.
I think he has. I think, unfortunately, just the minimap's not telling us the correct information. Got to be a little careful. You can see that Ruiz is hovering on the top side of the map here. Doom does jump in. He's just trying to push that wave in to allow Snitch to get a free back. You do sometimes see this from junglers. It basically allows them to get away, with a cheetah recall and just allows himself to get back into the lane before he loses any serious minions to tower.
And we should talk about, obviously, Doom with this champion, especially. It's something we talked about, obviously, within. Hello, then we're just going to go with the engage at the start there. We'll get the knock-up. Acolyte with the flash just in time. Can't quite finish him off there, and the tower hit comes in onto Leon. They will have a lot of damage onto that tower, but there's going to be Leon that will recall.
Yeah, that was a good little gank from Doom. Burns a lot of the summoners from Acolyte early on. Actually, looks like Acolyte trying to stay for this wave. This is a greedy stay. Doom does still have flash. Doom's got flash. He doesn't actually need it. Oh my gosh. He makes no meal of that. He goes straight in with the ult.
Yeah, so let's go back to talking about, obviously, Doom with Xin Zhao. So if anybody out there that has been watching throughout the Origin series, throughout the June and July month especially, then it was, I think it was about 15 games played, 13 of them for Doom with a 95% win rate.
He single-handedly made Xin Zhao meta in Europe, by the way. He, especially when the high elo player base pays so much attention to the esports side of things. He basically crafted the Xin Zhao meta when Xin received all those buffs, and he's gone back to comfort here in a really important game. It's a good start again. He actually essentially forewent his blue buff for so long, but has invested more resources into Leon once again. And as I said, he made absolutely no meal of that. He just popped, I mean, we're going to get to see a replay of the engage onto Acolyte. Acolyte, I understand why he stayed, by the way. You might think, wow, Acolyte, very stupid for staying, but really he had such a big minion wave here. He wanted to maybe get away with absorbing the wave and absorbing the experience, but Doom, happy to punish, doesn't want to see any cheeky antics from the brush. He just flash ults to make sure he goes down.
Yeah, just the... Is it the Crescent Guard? Crescent Strike? I can never remember the name of the ulti for Xin Zhao. I know it's definitely one of the two. Crescent, I'm just going to say that. There we go.
Every time you say Xin Zhao, I just think of that.
Xin Zhao.
I say
Shin.
I just say Shin, but you sound like Jin. So have you seen that? Have you seen that meme where it's Jin with the Xin Zhao spear and everyone says Xin Zhao? Anyway, there you go.
It's definitely Shin. Shin.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not faulting your pronunciation.
Yeah. Anyway, to the game at hand, and the game right now is the Rift Herald. That's where we're going, 4 minutes 14. We know what Queso would love to focus on, but they are on the red side this time, so we may see a bit of an adjustment, because look at the ward coverage this time around from RIX. They have the coverage in there. They've taken the scuttle crab down, so that gives them the vision, and now we may see Queso making that switch because they're on the red.
I'm actually, you've actually brought up a really interesting point that I want to elaborate on a little further. They're on red side, which gives them less easy access to the Rift Herald pit. You have that wall obstructing easy reinforcements over the wall, you know, trying to get people into the pit to fight. You know, Rift Herald is an easier objective to take and set up for when you're on blue side, because of how easy it is to support your team, because there are no major obstructions getting you into the pit. This time round, Team Queso, that might be part of their blue side strategy. Forget draft. They might like the blue side strategy because it allows them to get easy control over the Rift Herald for that first objective.
Looking at the vision there from the RIX side, you can see they had full control, knowing exactly what's there, and now they're going to force out the dragon fight. So it's RIX that want to try and force the control here, looking like they're certainly setting up for it at the moment. You can see Clue is sort of going around sweeping, checking for ward coverage. We can see, of course, we have the vision, and that Queso do indeed have a ward very much on top of that, so they don't want to go for the fight. They see a little attempt there from Queso to go for the Rift Herald, and it immediately draws their attention, and RIX head up the river.
Trying to catch Snitch out with a charm, but it is RIX that set up for this Rift Herald this time round. They aren't going to get contested, it looks like, and they'll pick it up. There is a collapse now onto the dragon, but it is started up pretty late for the time being.
Too late. Way too late. So, I mean, that was honestly very well read by RIX. They saw Queso go for it, immediately backing away. Clue just going to try and sidestep. That Unbreakable will do enough to block that shield damage coming through. But they saw Queso sending in there. Andreas and Acolyte, or Andreas, whichever you prefer, and Acolyte both went in, started out the Rift Herald. Immediate response from RIX, straight up the river. They just about started the dragon, but they were quick to respond. And as you pointed out, it is a very different fight when you're on the red side.
So we're going to see the Rift Herald now for the first time in the hands of RIX. We'll see what they can do with it. The dragon's still on the field, by the way, so a late dragon take on the cards for either team, which might mean we see only 3 dragons in total in this entire game, because of course, once we get to that 16-minute mark, it is always going to be the Elder, regardless of how many dragons are actually left alive. And RIX doing a much better job, I feel, of just trying to control the vision. Team Queso, though, desperately defending their own vision control at this point in time.
This is the first time that RIX have had objective control. This is this has been Queso's job, and I feel that this is maybe what RIX have looked at, saying, you know what, we need to take that blue side away from them.
Friend is in an
This is dangerous.
spot, yeah.
Yeah, this is dangerous. There's going to be the final spark going across. Doesn't catch out. The Riven goes in. Snitch will catch down Memorize. Memorize will drop. They're going to turn on towards Andreas. Andreas on Doom.
Doom's still going. Doom's still alive.
Goes and gets alive. Gets the regen down and smites out the dragon. Takes just about everything and the kitchen sink from Queso.
That is a much better early game from RIX. Suddenly, on blue side, given some comfort picks, they feel a lot more comfortable engaging in these objective fights, and maybe RIX just seem to have found the way to deal with them. Just draft a bit more teamfight orientated. Allow yourself the presence in a 5v5 in the early game. Try and take Team Queso on at what they do best. And they're actually doing that this time round. And I feel for Team Queso, they were just a little slow to set up on that first dragon. They felt like they wanted to get some kind of objective here, and now Leon's bullying out Acolyte as well. You can see the confidence coming through from RIX. It feels like a team that's a little bit more invigorated compared to those first two games. I would love to see both teams pick up some more wins here because I want to see the series go all the way.
Yeah, the bonus, of course, with Leon, he's got that Grand Starfall to try and join that fight, jump across the map as much as he can, whereas Andreas, of course, Acolyte, does need to join. Let's have a look at the replay of this one in the pit.
You can see it here now. You can see it was an attempted max burst damage, but look at that Seraphine ultimate bounce onto Memorized. He gets caught out by Snitch. That's what Snitch's job is. Snitch's only job in these team fights is kill Sona or kill Lux. Try and take apart that back line of the comp, and Snitch did such a good job off the back of it as well. And you can see how much time the Xin Zhao ultimate buys you as well. Just able to prevent Doom from going down quickly. Andre now in the side lanes.
Ooh.
I think Andre did see Doom, though.
They're trying to push Leon, I think. There's going to be a try and trade. You can see Snitch is almost trying to bait this one, but it is a triple stack on the top lane towards Leon to force him away, and they're going to try and take the tower away. This will be the first tower for Queso. They don't have minions to follow it through. Leon doing a very good job at defending.
They're going to drop Ritter on mid.
Ooh, I mean, that's a great answer. It's like, oh, you're going to put the pressure on the top? We will put the pressure on the mid lane with Clue and Friend in there. That's a nice little final spark coming through. Rift Herald will go through. There's the big knock-up, and they go in for it. Acolyte getting caught out. The team fight not quite there. The Grand Scarfall will come down. And RIX going to keep on pushing this one. They absolutely dunk. Ruiz goes down, catching Acolyte off guard as well. And that Rift Herald is still pushing. Another slam down on the tier 2 turret. Light binding not going to be enough from Ibu, and they will take that turret too. A massive advantage now for RIX.
Suddenly, you give yourself some teamfight tools and you look much more competitive in this game. RIX changed that draft up, take away some of those problem picks like the Galio, and they're on the blue side as well, which kind of disrupts that early Rift Herald strategy that Team Queso want to run with. Look a little bit more alive in this series. And Team Queso, they're relying on the scaling of the Lux and the Sona to carry them through those late game fights. What this Lux and Sona is supposed to do is to support the Darius, support the Ahri. And look at this fight again. Very heavy engage. Leon able to join with the ultimate. Ruiz gets caught up. Lovely Seraphine ultimate to ensure one of the key threats goes down at this stage in the game. And the Braum just so good at those individual lockdowns and individual pickoffs. RIX now find themselves 7,000 gold in the lead at 10 minutes into the game, but never count Team Queso out. They still have that very threatening scaling of the Lux and the Sona when paired together. It is something that we will need to keep our eyes on because, again, if RIX give this team comp too much time, the shielding and the healing that they can output is pretty ludicrous.
Yeah, I just feel right now they have to be very, very cautious. Memorize's crescendo could be an absolute pivotal beast in the team fight because at the moment it's all gone RIX's way. They've read very much into what they've faced, and we talked about it. Get that Galio ban in first. It's worked. They've got rid of that Galio ban. They've also done the side switch, which I feel has played quite a large portion of what Queso's team early game strategy was, which was, of course, getting away that Rift Herald. Now they need to come up with something new. They're a long way behind. Do they go? Do they group? Do they look for that big team fight? Do they try and fight? Do they even risk a challenge for this Drake right now? I'm not sure they can.
I don't think you can at this point. I mean, maybe there's an attempted threaten of the Baron. You can see them grouping up around the Baron pit. They're clearing the vision right now.
Yeah, they're just going to push the top tower. That's what they're going to go for. Push the top tower down, get the vision, get what you can. They're a little, I'd say RIX are a little wary that they may try and rush a Baron here, which is why we can see them rushing up the river there, just to make sure they're not going objective for objective, but absolutely will be that top turret. And that's the first turret that Queso have taken down, which is incredible to say, considering how many turrets they were taking across the last two games. It was always their focus, and this time around it has been a struggle in the lane phase. Look at the mid, look at the bottom, untouched turrets.
Very strong item spikes coming through from RIX as well. You've got the Black Cleaver Sterax combo for Doom that makes him kind of pseudo-tanky on the front line. You have the Death Dance Black Cleaver right there for Snitch. Again, makes him a little tankier than maybe you'd expect from a Bruiser. And we have that Staff of Flowing Water picked up as well for Friend alongside his Ludens. So everyone hitting on some important item spikes. Have picked up the Rabadon's Death Cap for the Ahri here, working towards the Rabadons it looks like from Ibu right now too. So don't count out Team Queso. They're actually hitting some decent 2-item spikes in their own right. And still can be very threatening when it comes to team fights. Like if you're just a little bit out of position as Friend, and if Friend goes down, like you are looking at a team fight that gets torn apart for RIX. So if Friend is that key member, if he gets caught out by Ruiz or kicked by Andre, you could be looking at a situation where in a rough
just
spot.
spotted him. Yeah, you could see what they were doing. They're trying to set up a gank, try and pick someone off there, but Doom just checked at the exact time they went from bush to bush and managed to get all the vision and ruining Queso's chances there. Snitch, though, will get a bit of damage down on towards this tier 2 turret on the bottom lane, putting a lot of work in. And Ibu comes in, like binding won't land, but Snitch says, thank you, that's half the damage done to that tier 2 turret already.
And they're going to get that tier 1 top. There's no one really there defending it. I don't really think that Team Queso can actually defend this themselves. So they're going to give this one over. You can see Acolyte hanging around, though.
Oh, he's going.
Them in.
The team are coming. Andreas is there. Ruiz is going to come through. The turret will go down. Acolyte takes a lot of punishment. And now they quickly come in. Glacial Fist are locking them all off and absolutely catching them off. Fantastic encore coming through. And that's going to be airborne. Ruiz, what can he do from this one? Leon's going very low. And they might try and turn it. The charm doesn't come in. Andreas tries to join the party. Doesn't happen for them. Final spark doesn't connect. And that was a risky re-engage by Queso.
And they get a tower and a kill. It was very risky, as you said, but RIX managed to get away with it. Snitch picks up a tier 2 in the bot lane as well. Ibu cannot hold him. Used that ult to clear the top lane and try and pick up a couple of kills instead of cleaning the wave. And a 10k up. Now you can hear RIX's voices a little bit more clearly. They're shouting Vamos.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Vamos?
They're shouting Vamos.
I thought I could hear Baron, as I was thinking. But yeah, Acolyte, I mean, to re-engage, they could have done with the tower sticking out a little bit longer there. But as you mentioned, the encore absolutely caught all three.
Yeah, and you saw how safe Friend was actually playing that engage as well. He knows he's the integral part of this team fight. If Friend goes down, it looks like a different team fight for RIX overall. So he's playing it really far back. He knows that once Andre's locked up and once Ruiz is locked up, there isn't really anybody that's going to threaten him. So he was able to bounce that encore off his teammates to set up a really beautiful engage for RIX. We're now 10,000 gold in the lead. And now here's a test for Team Queso. Can they stall this out to the point where they are in a really strong spot with that Seraphine Sona combo? What we're seeing right now, though, from RIX is just a bit of side lane pressure. They're actually drawing Ibu away from the fights. And if you actually fight without Ibu and Memorized stacked together, you're actually really diminishing the power of this composition overall.
Yeah, RIX are beaten Queso with their own game, basically. They're going for the split push. Snitch seems to be unfightable so far. Nobody's going near him. He's got 13k gold. That is 3,000 more than anybody on Queso. So absolutely unstoppable. Grand Starfall coming in from Leon there to try and get involved. I think they thought they caught Acolyte off guard. Let's see how it transitions because Snitch is still on the top lane. They're going to catch the encore through. The crescendo catches all 4 members of RIX there. The best engage that Queso could hope for, but they've got nothing to show for it so far. Leon's going to get taken down. They do manage to catch him, and with the Mountain Drake just spawning, they've got to be careful. They're going to lose an inhibitor turret here to Snitch.
That was a little bit over-eager, I think, from RIX. They were trying to catch out Acolyte on the side lane, but unfortunately just some poor positioning of the ultimate from Leon, not able to make that catch. Snitch, though, in the side lane, creating a bit of a nuisance for himself. Keeping this Mountain Dragon alive, but I don't think RIX want to take any major issues. It's a 3 versus 3 for the time being. Doom does have that ultimate left up available.
Oh, the charm catches on Doom, and no damage follow-up. They realise he still hasn't managed to get it down. Smite's still not there. He goes in, doesn't work out. Don't challenge out Andreas with the smite. And it will be a dragon, a small objective control. It's still a 10,000 gold difference for RIX, but Queso just get a small win.
But it's more time for Lux and Sona to build up towards that strong combo. Harmonic Echoes just finished for Sona as well. That is an integral item in terms of providing the healing and shielding necessary to keep these team fights going. It is a 10k gold lead, but it doesn't matter much when you're hitting core item spikes on Team Queso. Don't get me wrong, it is still a massive advantage for RIX right now. But you could hear Queso, even off the back of a small win, like a single kill and a dragon, they were hyped, getting themselves back in the mood to fight here. And RIX, they have a clock. It is ticking. It's 16 minutes into the game right now. They have to try and force the issue around Baron. They have to try and get some of these inhibitor towers down, because if they don't, they're giving a lot of time over to Team Queso.
Yeah, the sustain for Queso could be pretty big. Grand Starfall comes in, doesn't catch out. Ruiz immediately charms out Leon the second he drops. And with that key ultimate taken away, it is a pretty quick cooldown on that one. It is something they're going to focus on, but that's a problem. Queso caught out. Andreas using the kick to just disengage there. So just a few small little engagements, guerrilla engagements, if you will, from the two teams trying to catch him. Queso have to play this to perfection to come out on top.
I think more importantly, you get the sonar. Yeah, I mean, Andre didn't want to let that one go.
Small wins.
Small wins, mate, you take them. Small wins stack up to big advantages. And Queso, they're not out of this game. I mean, you can see that RIX are finding it very difficult to force the issue right now.
The biggest thing is, certainly for Queso, there's money on the map, effectively, in terms of the towers. There's towers still out there. I did say it was a 10k gold. That's fallen to a 9k gold already, as RIX will just continue to stall out. It's sooner or later they need to either find a fight that comes out in their favor, force the Baron, I think is probably going to be the most likely, or try and bully down one of those objectives, inhibitor turrets.
Yeah, they're finding it very difficult because the wave clear is so good from Team Queso at this point in time. But as you are very correct, we need to see something forced for RIX sometime soon. Now, don't get me wrong, they've got good scaling in the form of the Seraphine, but you're going to find it difficult to outscale this sort of the healing and the shielding coming through from Team Queso. I'm not sure about Snitch being constantly side-laned here. Unless he's looking to go for the 1v1, I think he needs to be around these team fights to ensure that he's threatening Stoner, especially now that Stoner does not have a flash available.
I mean, he's very nearly a maximum 6-item build, sorry. He's almost completed there. Has taken down all tier 2 turrets, so there's not really anything for him to go for now. And unfortunately for him, that means Queso could defend a lot easier. You can see he was trying to force out, try and get those Grand Starfall to drop in there and get that advantage built out, but it's not going to work out. Look at Andreas. Andreas quickly forcing the lane. We were talking about this in the first few games and yesterday, how good Queso are at keeping their lanes pushed down.
60 seconds until the Elder Dragon spawns here. RIX have the majority of the dragons in this game, including the Ocean and the Infernal. They are grouping up for this one. They want to ensure that they're at least getting good vision control, setting up a potential gank opportunity. Snitch has to be a little careful. There is always that threat of the Belt Darius engage, which can kind of catch you out. They try to put a bit of pressure onto Andre here with a little stun from Leon, but it won't come to much. There is a big wave pushing on the top side of the map too. 30 seconds until the dragon spawns. A prime opportunity for Team Queso to group up and get some vision control on that Elder area to ensure they're not face-checking into any uninformed, I guess.
Oh, they're trying to catch someone in mid. They want to go for it. It's Clue they're looking for. They turn onto Leon. They may well be able to get him down here as well. He has got himself, of course, the Guardians to keep himself alive, but he does manage to survive, and that was Queso trying to force something. They've got to be careful they don't stick around too long here. The Grand Starfall could quickly bring him back into the fight.
You can see Doom just threatening that tier 1 tower still alive. The shielding and the healing is starting to come online for Team Queso. That is a Seraphine ultimate that does catch up. Here we go.
Doom comes in, tries to get on them. Grand Starfall will fall, but they're not going to catch the damage down. Snitch is going to get the focus in, but it doesn't matter. They caught Ruiz off guard. There goes the Acolyte, and that can be a finish. They get a great knock-up, but there's no damage to follow through here. And RIX's gold advantage is simply causing the power disparity for Queso. It was a great catch, but there was nothing to follow it through.
And again, that Seraphine ultimate undoes the team fight for Team Queso, and Snitch does his job. He has one job, and my God, he did it. On the back line, fully empowered sword, and cuts down those two enchanters. Brilliant play from RIX. They're a lot more, look at them, they're smiling now. They're a lot more engaged. Team Queso are actually giving the thumbs up and the clap here. They're enjoying the competition. I love that mindset from them. They are really, really getting into this series now, 2-1.
For Queso, I feel they thought they'd got a bit more than they had. You know, yeah. They caught Leon off guard. Yes, they managed to catch him. They didn't kill him. He goes back to base, and then they just stuck around too long. It's like you're fighting them under a turret to start with, and they've got a 10,000 gold advantage. The only advantage they had was the catch. Once they'd missed that catch, they needed to back away, disengage.
I think it was a bit of a Hail Mary attempt, right?
Yes.
You knew Elder was up. It's a ticket to a win. You see Leon out of position. You have a Lee Sin who can exploit missed positions from the enemy. Admittedly, though, Leon did have GA, so it's a little bit harder to kind of straight up say that's going to be an easy catch to make. But it was, I think, the what's the word I'm looking for? Like the intent. That's the word I'm looking for. Okay. The intent was good. from Team Queso there. I think it was actually one of the correct plays they could make. They didn't have much time. They couldn't get up to another item on the Lux and the Sona, so it was the correct attempt. But I think unfortunately you'd given too much gold over to RIX at that point. And as D-Man said in the fight, Grand Starfall gets Leon straight back into that engage, and he was able to get in and make a difference.
It was a Starfall, and honestly, to be fair, you know, we were talking about the Crescendo. The Crescendo did a great job. It caught all 5 of them off guard, but the problem is the follow-up. The follow-off was not there, and then immediately the encore straight over the top of them, caught them off, and then there's just nothing you can do, because as soon as the damage dealers go down, where's the kills going to come from?
Well, you know what? That to me looks like the power of RIX GG when they have team fight tools and they're not relying on everything in the side lane.
And the side, I would say the red side, I'm very interested to see, jumping across you, sorry, is whether who gets the blue side next, because it does seem that's a bit of power for Queso to stick on that blue side, because obviously that gives them that Rift Herald control. That's how they get that little snowball early on.
We had a good discussion about that, actually.
And I think they had 1 turret, 2 turrets, maybe 1 turret. I think that's all they got down, whereas if you think of the objectives across the first 2 games, they were constantly tower pressure.
I think you raise a really excellent point, because we talked about it in the game. That blue side seems to be integral to the Team Queso strategy, like setting up for first Rift Herald, ensuring that's an objective that they have clean access to. They felt a little more uncomfortable on red side. I don't think they really understood where they, well, not understood, they weren't really decided on where they wanted to put their resources around that 4 to 6 minute mark. And by the time they actually tried to go for Dragon, which is the natural objective to take on red side, they were too late. And RIX were able to get both, and the early momentum meant much more in favor of RIX this time.
There's also, you probably should look at obviously the Sona Lux lane. It's not going to get going. You can't, at 4 minutes, you're not going to get much power out of it. So in terms of team fight power that they've had in the first 2 matches, they didn't really have it this time around. Yes, you got great sustain, but the damage flow, you know, that they were getting previously wasn't there.
Well, you know, that combination of the Lux and Sona isn't quite a Seraphine Braum. I mean, Encore is pretty ridiculous with the range you can get off of that one, especially if you can lock down those fights.
The specific thing about the Sona Lux lane or Sona Seraphine or anything like that, when you pair these types of enchanters, is that you're supposed to give infinite sustain essentially to these team fights. The problem is you're dealing with a Riven. The one thing that beats infinite sustain is a very high burst. And that was actually a really nice answer, I think, from RIX, because that Snitch did his job excellently. Like every single fight, he was either flash stunning into the back line or just getting there with the broken wings to ensure that he's able to put enough pressure on that backside of the map. And once you kill Sona Lux in that comp, there was no legs left to the Team Queso comp. You kneecap them essentially, and the rest of them are just kind of squirming to do anything.
It's very graphic again there, kid. But we're just going to have to go it over to Will. D-Man, you can get your point in when we come back. Will, break down some plays for us.
Right, let's have another talk about these bot lanes that we have been so interested in. Not the traditional, but definitely something. First message. Underline that a couple of times, just so that everyone's on the same page. Good? Everyone at home? Notes? Fab. Right, let's talk about this play then. We're going to just hit play. As you can see, Rift Herald is charging through. One of the big things about this play is how much RIX can get on the back of it, because they've got Rift Herald and they're kind of playing this defend the battering ram situation. And I want you to keep your eyes on this situation as we run through the clip. We're just going to let it play out. But keep your eyes, because the engage from Team Queso actually looks pretty good initially. They get some good abilities down. Health bars are going reasonably low, but the ultimate coming through is just amazing. And with 2 catches like that, they can just continue forward with this Rift Herald. The second charge allows them to put big pressure on this inner tower and take it very, very shortly after this clip runs down. And essentially, they're able to gain so much momentum. And again, like I said in the first clip, this is really where you see a team take control. But this time around, it's not Team Queso, it's RIX GG. So, looks like we've got a series on our hands, lads. Let's go, 7 games.
You keep saying lucky number 7. There's still a long way to go in this series. Lee, let's bring it back. What were you trying to jump on there?
I wanted to talk about the Riven, because obviously we were talking about it before. We didn't think they'd made much use of it. We've seen, I think, Leon and Doom both using it, and now we've got Snitch used it to great effect. So honestly, it's one of those champions that possibly should be banned away again. We were questioning whether it was a ban worthy.
It was banned.
I think it just got proved it. Yeah,
banned the first 2 games, and I think that one of the things that's really beneficial to RIX is that flexibility in draft. Like they're just able to put picks where it matters in terms of dealing with the enemy comp. Now, I think that Galio Galio felt very integral to the way that Team Queso played their team fights out.
Yeah.
And banning that seems to have given a new lease of life about how you're approaching those first 4 to 6 minutes. I will say, though, I think RIX were lacking clinical execution when it came to trying to end the game out, but they probably knew that they were okay with the Seraphine scaling up. But I'd say that I was a little worried, into a Sona Lux, that you give it enough time, it becomes very difficult to deal with.
I'm glad they didn't fall for a classic Baron fight and get caught out. That's what I was thinking.
No,
I think it may have been in the back of their mind. It's like, let's just play this by the numbers.
But I think at the end of the day, you've got a RIX that maybe have a bit more confidence now. I want to see a really competitive series here, and I'm really glad the RIX have got themselves on the board, because I would not have loved to see a 4-0 for Queso. No matter how well they've played this tournament, you never want a grand final to go.
The interesting part for me is that we were talking about what were RIX going to do next? Like, how are they going to force it? Well, Queso kind of forced their hand and came out. I still think if Queso had sat back and just carried on, they knew they had to fight for the Elder that was coming up. So that's where they thought they got the grab. But if they maybe just waited a little longer, they could have fought in the pit.
All right, well, adaptations to be made. Let's go ahead and throw it over to the next game. Team Queso versus RIX GG.
So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Game number 4. Do they ban the Seraphim, as Viperoon pointed out there? Well, we'll find out, ladies and gentlemen, because we're going to get into those pick and bans right now. RIX with a nice answer, but look what's happened. Queso back on the blue side. And of course, that will change things around once again, gives them that Rift Herald control that they've been craving for throughout this tournament.
Let's see the Camille banned away by RIX. They're not going to let that go. Team Queso too comfortable for them, or so it feels. And now Team Queso going back to their usual ban strategy. Do we see the Ahri ban? That didn't seem like it was as much of a problem for RIX that time round, so I imagine the Galio takes precedent here.
Well, there is the Riven ban. We're not allowing Snitch, Leon, Doom, whoever wants to play it. Maybe we're going to see Clue jumping on it next time. I don't know. See which way they're going to have it, but either way, it's down to RIX to make a ban. Will they go with the Ziggs ban and keep that away? No, it will be the Kha'Zix once again, taking that away from Andreas and making sure that he cannot have it. Was very impactful in the opening game with it.
Does mean that either you ban Galio or Ziggs here, because I don't assume that Team Queso bans Ziggs unless they are not comfortable playing that in their comps. So RIX then have to make that choice, and I feel like Galio at this point feels very difficult for RIX to deal with. So I guess you make that choice between Galio and Ziggs when it comes to the final ban, and whether, depending on what Team Queso actually want to take away, and they do ban Seraphine. Viperoon's advice went through the window, and now you've got the choice between Galio or Ziggs.
Absolutely. Which way will it be? I personally would have gone with the Galio and let the Ziggs through. It just seems more impactful, and that's exactly what they feel.
The only problem is that the Camille was one of the best answers into Ziggs, because you isolate him, make it very difficult for him to escape. They are throwing that gauntlet down to Team Queso and saying, do you want to first pick the Ziggs?
But of course, that does leave the Lee Sin out there, multiple options that RIX will be very comfortable having. And it kind of forces Queso into it. It's like, do you want it, Ruiz? Do you want to play Ziggs?
I'll have to wait and see what these guys are.
He's discussing it. They're having a chat about it.
They're having a chat.
So far, by the way, Ziggs has been 100% pick or ban throughout the entire event.
We'll see if Team Queso feel the same way. I mean, they did sort of lose out on that to Game Lord, for instance. Game Lord gave them the option, but they're not going to do that this time. They're going to take the Ziggs as that first pick, something that has been so instrumental for so many teams over the course of the last 6 months. And you get your hands on it, very good tower pushing potential, very good snowball potential through pure global gold advantage. As Ziggs does get locked in here for Team Queso, but Gragas is left open. We forgot about it.
It's been fed through. It's been fed through. And with Lee Sin maybe paired with it, who knows what they're going to pair with that. And of course, Gragas is one of those champions that can play in every single lane. And they're actually taking the Renekton away from Acolyte.
Well, it could be Gragas support, could be Gragas mid, which we've seen sometimes from Southeast Asian regions. Not as popular in Europe, but you do see it over in the SEA Icon series and so on and so forth. Could also be going over to Leon, but I think with the Renekton lock-in, that's almost certainly going to be going to Leon on the top side of the map. Andre wants to take his Lee Sin again. I would not be surprised to see a Xin Zhao pickup from RIX on their next rotation. For Team Queso, though, you need to think about how you're going to support and protect this Ziggs in the bot side of the map, but they are going to lock in the Xayah. Now, I think that the problem is you can't really answer with Rakan unless you're willing to flex the Gragas mid right now.
Okay. I mean, we still don't know where the Gragas is, whether it is going to be possibly for the support. Maybe Clue will have it. There is the Xin Zhao, as you pointed out. So locking in once again for Doom. Doom very, very comfortable on that champion.
Yeah.
We'll see exactly where this
one's that is something that slipped through the cracks recently. We talked a lot about... We
barely played, actually.
Exactly, we hyped it up a lot.
Kai'Sa, by the way, we're talking about.
Yeah, Kai'Sa, sorry, guys. I remember when I was casting with you, I think it was in June or July, and you sort of whacked out the stats about Kai'Sa. Most picked champion by far.
It still is.
And still is one of the most picked champions in the Origin
I think in Southeast Asia and in Europe as well. I think like everywhere, Kai'Sa. But yeah, we really haven't seen much Kai'Sa throughout this tournament.
We have not, and RIX usually favours the Ezreal, but maybe feel that's a little bit too slow in this scenario. Wants a little bit more all-in potential. One of the benefits of Kai'Sa is you can be aggressive when you need to be.
Sometimes too aggressive.
Yeah, sometimes too aggressive. We did see from Unicorns of Love, but Zach Q's Killer Instinct ults in some of the group games were very aggressive.
It is
that
the
will be the
Rakan.
Rakan. It's the clear pairing with the Rakan, the comfort for Team Queso. The problem that they have is that Rakan is the only thing that's buying you space realistically here for the Ziggs. So you've got to be thinking about whether you're using that defensively or offensively, and there isn't as much follow-up.
Oh my god, we completely forgot about the Ahri. We completely forgot about the Ahri. That's what...
Snitch's Ahri?
That's so, I guess. So Snitch going on the Ahri. I mean, we were talking about, obviously, we totally forgot about the Ahri getting through, because normally it would have been a Snitch Queso. That was clearly what the debate was about at the start. It's like, well, Ahri's available, we've got Ziggs available.
Ziggs,
we kind of want that. Incredible stuff. This could be a very interesting game, ladies and gentlemen. Get in there, tell your friends, tell your mom, get involved over in the chat as well, and support whoever you want to win. Queso 2-1 up in the series in this best of 7 up against RIX GG here for the Wild Rift Origin Series Championships.
RIX have really changed up their draft style over the last 2 games. We have gone from pure side lane into like 5v5 Ball of Death teamfight style. We are seeing a lane swap coming through. Leon will be joining Snitch on the mid side here to allow Acolyte, or not allow Acolyte that free lane. But they will get the quick push as the Ziggs has got a very, very...
Oh, I like the bait. Look at this. The bait that Acolyte has gone away.
Oh, yeah.
He pretended to be walking up, went away from the vision and went back down south. I like it.
They are going to keep the Renekton on the top side of the map here for the... I think for the reason...
Acolyte's back in mid. He's gone back. All right. I mean, that's... I don't know how I feel about that.
They're denying a lot of experience here from Acolyte, but Acolyte knows that in the 2v1 he fares a lot worse than Renekton does.
Yep.
Renekton has got a lot of wave clear built in. He's got a lot of inbuilt sustain that he can rely on the minions for, whereas Acolyte obviously can only get his sustain when it comes through actually attacking champions. Will eventually move down towards this bottom side of the map. Doom is on the wrong side to punish Acolyte this time round.
Yeah, and RIX are freezing the lane, realizing the situation they're in, so they're trying to prevent as much as they can. Ibu is going to be the dive. Here we go. Leon getting the damage down, and that will be a quick first blood. Switch it, do what you like. RIX answer it in kind. They know they get the double support there. Leon and Doom putting pate to anything Ibu and Memorize have.
I'm really interested about how that transpired. Memorized obviously roamed out to protect any rotations through the red side jungle there, but they left Ibu alone completely. Now RIX have burnt a couple of flashes for that, but it nullifies a lot of the early pressure from this lane swap that's come through from Team Queso.
Yeah, I mean, Flash and Ignite, they're all going to be back up before they get involved in the potential Rift Herald or Dragon fight that will come about. And there's one thing that Doom will deliver when he's on that Xin Zhao, and that's first blood, 2 games running. Absolutely love to see that as he gets very aggressive, very much involved. And we're talking about this bottom lane. Obviously, we've seen Acolyte on the Darius a couple of times here. Will have to be more defensive, and that's why we're seeing pretty much him staying on the tower. But I like Rix's answer. You can stay on the tower all you like. You better go to tower 2, because Doom is coming looking.
And Ruiz coming as well, though. They see him coming through, and Doom's not going to overcommit to this situation. Left a lot of free experience for Ibu on the top side of the map, and actually one thing that you're noticing here is Leon is well out of it in terms of experience compared to Acolyte. Acolyte level 5, Leon level 3. So Leon needs some time to soak up some minion waves somewhere. It looks like he's going to go mid, and they're going to rotate Snitch up to catch that top lane wave.
Yeah, sticking around. Memorize also in and around mid at the moment to try and get a bit of help. Keep Ruiz there, go down, get that vision, which he's so very good at taking control, and he's looking for that right now. We're going to see a ward appear in just a moment, because that's where Memorize loves to place it. Did he put it down? Yes, he did. Put it on the blue.
Ruiz here back in mid. We have those Rift Heralds and Dragons spawning relatively soon. You can see that the lane pressure is in favor of Team Queso to get a setup on that Rift Herald that they do like to do on the blue side of the map. Leon, not yet level 5, but will hit it crucially off this wave.
They have yet to put the wards down. Scuttle Crab, I assume, is still in the river, which ordinarily they would have picked up by now. But of course, we've still got 30 seconds to go before the Herald and Dragon spawns. And this is what I'm very, very interested to see. Do Queso focus the Herald once again, or do they read into the fact that RIX are going to try and challenge them there?
Well, they haven't actually put any vision down. They usually have a lot more setup.
And that's why I was wondering with the ward at blue. I was thinking maybe they're going for Dragon here.
Could go for either, but it looks now finally like Andre is moving his way over to that Rift Herald side of the map. It looks like RIX very comfortable to just trade out for the Dragon. Although I say that, it looks like they are committing resources to
Doom's up here. Yeah, Doom's up here, so they absolutely want to go for that smite fight. Scuttlecrab going away to Andreas will, of course, give them the vision that they've been craving and lacking there. But with the Herald pulled out, nobody going for the Ocean Drake just yet. Andreas keeping it alive.
There is a wave pushing into that top side, so Ibu's going to be dragged towards that top lane tier 1.
Yeah, the bonus, of course, is with the Ziggs. You got that Mega Inferno bomb that can be tossed from a large chunk of the map. So Ruiz doesn't even need to be in there to get involved, but it will be, of course, the Rift Herald being picked up by Queso. Now, do they challenge for the Ocean Drake? I wonder. They're certainly setting up for this one. They've kept the two top laners, of course, Acolyte up against, Snitch in the top lane. I tell a lie, that's Ibu that's up there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, this feels a little awkward from RIX. I think they had the potential with the Darius on the bot side of the map to try and contest that Rift Herald, but they let it go for free, and they didn't commit to this Dragon side either. You can see the natural priority that a Ziggs offers you in the mid lane does mean it's very difficult to rotate out of that lane and then sort of impact these neutral objectives on the side of the map, but it looks like Doom...
He's passed over 2 wards, so they're well aware that he's coming in and around there, and that's why Acolyte's there. It looks like they are just going to give up on that. You can see they've got the ward in the river, giving the vision. Acolyte's certainly going to come close. Actually, Andreas is maybe coming down to see if he can get a cheeky smite on this one. Acolyte just showing his presence. Mega Inferno bomb comes in. The smite comes in. Is not enough. Doom will beat Andreas in the smite.
It's one of the first times this series that Doom's been able to get the smite in the 50-50. But they'll be happy with that because they've at least picked up an objective off this. Nice charm!
Oh, that's a big charm! Pulls him into the tower as well. The ignite goes down and the finish comes in. And that will be a clear kill. And now Memorize all sorts of trouble. RIX goes piling in there. And that will be a double for them. A triple, sorry, for them. And the objective, and they may well get this mid turret here, but they are going to lose out on the bottom.
Yeah, Acolyte won't be able to tank this up though, and it does look like Snitch is making his way down.
Oh, Ibu, you're caught. He's going to get one out of this one. Fend is going to get away with it. Oh, my word.
RIX come alive in the early game. Look, just draft team fight, draft good level 5s, and you suddenly have a little bit more legs when it comes to contesting Team Queso. I actually don't know if you caught that. Earlier on, Ziggs burnt his flash off camera. So that's why they went so aggressively onto the Ziggs, because he burnt that flash very early on before the Rift Herald fight. And they knew that. They timed it, and they said, fine, we're going to take a couple of kills off this, and ended up getting 3 out of it as well. Great start for RIX. Great start if you're RIX fans as well. Going to drop that Rift Herald top, though, to try and at least secure that first tower of the game. You can see they've got a wave building up for it. No one there from Team Queso, or rather no one there from RIX to be able to stop this from happening. So will be a gold level right now if you are Team Queso fans.
Looks like they want to focus on Acolyte in that bottom lane. I'm looking at Leon. Leon going around the backside. Doom's there as well, just getting the force down. So it's a counter effectively here, trying to focus the damage on the bottom turrets. There's going to be a trade. Now the question is Clue enough to keep them away? Because there is a Rift Herald up there that's going to get a lot of damage down onto this turret.
Yeah, they're going to have to do their best. Obviously, Ziggs can take towers super quickly with that satchel charge. Hanging around for a long time, but they haven't got it down low enough to threaten. And Ruiz is just going to pop that ultimate to clear a wave and get as much gold in as possible. They don't lose the mid lane tier 1 either, so at the end of the day, it is a tower for tower. But Acolyte, again, able to just go down the bot side of the map here, and he will be able to pick up a tier 1 as RIX are kind of left a little wanting when it comes to side lane pressure and wave management once more. That'll level the gold up nice and even between the two teams now. 200 gold separating them, which is almost nothing at this stage in the game.
Yeah, lane pressure and turret control is something that Queso have certainly done very well at. Despite being 5 kills down, they are just 500 golds apart at the moment, because obviously the Herald doing the work there, and that's a lot of damage on a tier 2 turret there. I think they'll be happy with it so far. Queso just avoiding the damage. Snitch comes in, and this is RIX forming up as a 5 here, not looking to gain anything from it. I thought they may be trying to look for some pressure on that mid turret, but instead they allow Queso to get some wards down.
Team Queso do this a lot though. They just group up very heavily in the mid lane at this stage in the game, trying to get as much pressure down on the mid lane tier 1 as possible. And with the Ziggs, all it takes is a couple of basic attacks, bit of time on that tower, and it will drop. So you always have to be a little careful when dealing with a Ziggs and letting him alone on that mid lane tier 1. And once that drops, if it does drop anytime soon, you are looking at a lot of map pressure that goes in the way of Team Queso. Sets up for their mid-game strategy really nicely, just controlling those side lane waves and trying to push in for Baron control.
Oh, Ruiz just avoiding that one. Memorized quick ground entrance to mitigate any problems, any damage that may well come in from Snitch there. And I just was about to talk about Snitch actually, because it does seem the RIX are using Snitch and Leon for both side control to try and push out those waves to answer what Queso are doing. Meanwhile, Queso are keeping it onto Acolyte. Acolyte doing the work at the moment, covering map to map, Baron to Dragon, everywhere he goes. So he is stacking out in the gold at the moment, starting to work out well. He will be the tankiest member of the team, and it has to be, as he goes back to buy just before this Dragon spawns. Ruiz caught out once again. Flash and Barrier both burn, and they have to back away from this one, and it doesn't look like it's going to work out well for Queso. They need to get back to the tower, but Ibu absolutely sent packing back into his team. No damage going down at the moment. The exhaust will go down onto Doom, and Doom will back away, and that's surely the Mountain Drake going the way of RIX. Oh, they turned it back around. The Charm comes in and catches Ibu, completely napping. The grand entrance is a great knock-on, but there's no follow-on. Andreas tries to come around the side, but Acolyte tries to back away. He will fall as well. And RIX just completely catch them off guard with their own tool, the Mighty Charm.
The Mighty Charm. Snitch, he lands another one here. And finally, starting to understand myself why Ari is considered so strong. We've got to be very careful. Friend is backing on a ward here. A stray little basic attack or a bomb from Ruiz could have picked up that kill. But Snitch has been pivotal in some of these setups. I think Ruiz was very quick to burn his flash in that previous engage, and he made him a very easy target for the RIX lineup to try and lock down. Doesn't give them a massive gold advantage though. Like all the screams, all the team fight, they're not exactly working with a major advantage coming into this Dragon fight.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't pick up the objective.
Yeah.
But maybe they just want to keep forcing that because they have, what, a 10-to-1 advantage. Still don't have a massive gold advantage yet, though.
No, again, it was just a Snitch with a brilliant charm onto a flashless Ziggs. The follow-up from Leon is great. Watch this from Doom, though. I like the engage. It was a beautiful cast from Clue, by the way. That was absolutely fantastic. But watch how the Xin Zhao ultimate buys you so much space to retreat. Doom took almost no damage there. And again, watch it again. Oh, we are watching it again. Yeah, so that was a beautiful engage, but watch Doom. Just look, takes almost no damage from this engage, and you can't face check a Xin Zhao.
Here we go. We're going straight into it. They're going to look to try and catch the charm. Memorize going to get caught out. He will try and dash away from this one. No! Actually failed to try and escape there. Caught him off guard. Acolyte does get the pull in on Doom there. Tries to get the punishment down, but the bomb misses from Ruiz. Ruiz very low on mana as well, so it has to back here, and they did take the Dragon.
That is an objective in the favor of Team K, so you trade one kill for Dragon, I think, every day of the week. You'll be very happy with that, with the situation that you found yourself in. RIX desperately trying to convert that into a bit of mid lane pressure, maybe trying to set up for that tier 1, but the wave clear from the Xayah is a little too strong to contend with right now. They're getting vision control around the Baron, but they ain't threatening it. It's too early in the game to go for a Baron at this stage. But maybe top lane tier 1 will be threatened as Clue is waiting in the wings next to that Ziggs.
It's very dangerous, I would say, to read into that kill scoreline because it's still only a 3,000 gold lead as they get caught out. Memorized, I'll tell you what, he is not being allowed to go out and get that ward control that he's so often used to doing. Andreas now in trouble. Ruiz is going to get caught out again. No flash for him. Does manage the satchel charge over the wall, though, and they get the blue, so no escape.
Yeah. Kick, though, comes out from Andre, which now maybe sets up for a tower dive potential here. Although I say that a lot of Team Queso resources are invested around this mid lane tier 1. They're even going to burn that Ziggs ultimate, which is on a very low cooldown at this stage in the game. Happily use that to just ensure that that wave doesn't get crashed. No opportunity to take the tier 1 mid right now for RIX. They're slowly chipping away, but it is slow progress nonetheless. And as you mentioned very, very aptly, it is a minor gold lead. Despite that kill score, which is so heavily in favor of RIX, it is a minuscule gold lead really at this stage in the game.
Very dangerous to read into. Snitch coming in. it's really actually been the Snitch and Doom combo rather than Leon. Leon's been off the sides, sort of farming level in at the moment. You can see the level advantage. It is over Queso. There's quite a few 12s already in there for RIX. So now if they were to go into a fight, they would have that level advantage. And that is quite impactful, you know, even outside of the gold lead that they have.
Acolyte is on the bot side of the map here. Doom is waiting for in the wings to try and set something up, but Acolyte again. You see this from Queso a lot. Like they happily let Acolyte just push a side lane wave in. They happily let him just go and get a bit of free experience and create some problems in those side lanes for RIX, and then they play it safe at mid. They just group up together and make it difficult to engage on them. And unfortunately for RIX, you know, pending a charm, there isn't really a solid way to engage the fight.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest problem is that Ruiz on Ziggs. Ziggs is very good at wave clear, probably the best in the game, in all honesty. And in terms of just sort of separating out, they can quite easily leave him there to farm it up. Snitch takes a Mega Inferno bomb. Not enough to take him down, but a bit of pressure coming out from Queso here, looking to try and punish as they force him away. Coming up river is Leon. He was going to come around the backside at the moment onto Ruiz, so they've got to be careful. That's going to be RIX's turn to engage. They will just instead step to the turret. The Ignite on Doom will run clear. Got to be careful as he eats a bomb there. They do go for the engage. Leon takes a big chunk of damage with Dominus running, and Queso puts in a little bit of punishment onto RIX there.
Yeah, they just out-position them. They get that mid lane prio. They're constantly looking for an opportunity to get Ziggs onto that tower. You can see that RIX have to invest so much to get a bit of wave cleared down.
He's got no mana. He's got no mana. They realize it. They're saying, okay, we can push you down. You can't stop this one. They're going to go looking for it. Leon comes in, doesn't manage to land it. The charm goes down. Leon gets picked off on the tower. The rest of the team replied quickly, and it's a 2 for 0 there. Didn't catch Snitch getting picked off, actually.
Might have no mana, but he's got flash. And that was a very, very nice bait there from Ruiz. He's going to get himself back into the fight very quickly. Got 30 seconds to work with.
Oh, the grand entrance. They managed to catch out Doom. He tries to get away from this one. Should be enough to get away to the Honey Fruit. Turn it back around. And now Ruiz is joining the party. And look at this. Andreas off the side lane. He's going to get a tier 2 turret for this. That's a massive advantage. Cloud Drake spawns. Queso get that one. Everything going their way. Forget about that 3k gold lead they had. That has gone.
And this is brilliant for Team Queso. They're scaling up nicely with the Ziggs. It was and I understand what RIX were looking for there. No mana, as you correctly called out. No mana on the Ziggs, but no flash as well. But he managed to flash under the tower. It was a very risky engage from RIX. I understand why they went for it. They wanted to try and get an immediate attempt at the Baron, but they have given away a lot of their advantage they worked so hard for in the early game. RIX are absolutely in this. Sorry, Queso are absolutely in this still. It is even across the board right now, but you've got to remember how hard this Ziggs scales, how much damage he deals in team fights. Always got to be a little bit worried about that if you're RIX.
So, next fight is crucial. We're 16 minutes, which is a long time in Wild Rift into this game, with the Baron and the Elder both spawning. 2 huge objectives, and neither team really can split the difference. If a big charm lands from Snitch, it could be huge. Mega Inferno bomb used, catching 3 members out there, trying to burn the hit points down, trying to separate them. I think RIX have done a great job of trying to separate here, maybe try and force the tower. Instead, they're going to go looking for the kill. They're looking locked down, memorized, but not the ideal target to stun out there for Leon.
Great vision control from Queso. They know exactly where RIX are every given opportunity. And again, look at the wave. Ari forced to go top.
And they're sweeping as well. They're sweeping, taking away RIX's vision. So we're talking about that vision control they have. They do come in. They do keep that pressure down. The explosive cast used by Clue there to force them away from the turret.
This is so tense in our 4th game of the series. You can't help but feel the confidence is building for Queso. That strategy just wasn't working out.
The bait from Andre.
Yeah, just a little safeguard away there. Strategy wasn't really working out for them in terms of the converting those picks into anything meaningful. They have defended their tier 1 with gusto, but not able to find those finishing blows on the tier 1 for Team Queso. And you really feel this is going to come down to that one big explosive team fight towards the end of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. 17.5 minutes gone as we continue. Gold neck and neck. Oh, RIX have found a little moment here, and immediately it's answered. Mega Inferno bomb comes through. That central turret so low, but unable to be touched once again by RIX.
It forces friend back to base here. He's got a huge amount of items. Look at this. He's got Rabadon's Deathcap, Liandry's, and the Ludens, as well as now the Stasis to keep him safe from any engage. He's got his both Flash and Barrier up. That's as safe as you can get with Ziggs right now. And Ruiz starting to prove why this pick is so influential, just unable to make, this one-man army stops RIX from pushing onto the mid lane tier 1, and you give him even 2 seconds at this stage in the game on a tower and it's going to drop. Snitch now, unfortunately, not able to do as much work. Minimal gold lead in his favor.
Keeps trying to land that kick onto Snitch. Not so much to get on him, more to try and force out a flash, force out something, force out some sort of summoners to try and bait them out there. Snitch not falling for it though, so very disciplined from him, knowing obviously he's always got that ultimate to try and dash away as well on the Ahri.
That cooldown for Ruiz is almost back. Yeah. It's almost back. Doom's trying to threaten, but...
Trying to force the flash. Trying to force the flash from Ruiz, doesn't fall for it. There goes the charm. There's a lot of damage down on Snitch coming in here. They may try and focus it, and they do. They go for it, trying to get the damage down. Memorize will back away from that one. Doom going gold there, trying to pull away from that one. So the pressure down, not enough, and in they goes! Andreas gets one, focuses on Doom, the tower will fall, that's going to be the main target, they're trying to get the damage down, the charm comes in at Andreas, that doesn't catch himself a kill, Leon has to use the Dominus to escape, and Queso put the power and the pressure on.
Oh wow, what a pick onto Friend right there. Andre held his gun with that Sonic Wave. And RIX now in an awkward spot where they really can't contest this Elder Infernal. You can see the Team Queso are going to work their way straight over towards it. Friend, did he have stasis? That's my question. Did Friend have stasis? He certainly had ultimate, which gives him a little shield.
Oh, Andreas wanted to back there, hasn't got the health. He needs to go back quickly. Now, if RIX are quick and read the situation, but they have no vision, if they were quick to read the situation, they could have maybe tried to speed up the Elder there, but instead, we're going to be back to situation 0. Friend still waiting to spawn here, though. Queso back in position, going to make sure that wave doesn't spawn, and they have indeed started it. Look at the side, Doom is there. Memorize gets himself the ward coverage that they're looking for, but the rest of RIX are in position. They will be there to take the mid turret, but that may be all they can get.
I mean, they have to go for the Elder Inferno. That's the Exalt down. You kind of have to make this fight happen.
Mega Inferno doesn't work out. In goes Leon, in goes Clue. They're trying to look for the damage around the side. Snitch has been picked off. Doom is getting chased. He will go down. There's no smite to help out here. Meanwhile, the backline is also being punished. Ruiz goes down. That is also a couple of kills being picked up. RIX continue to chase, but now the backline is here to help them out there. Clue will get picked off on the side there. Friend Doom what he can to get the damage down, but there's the dunk coming in. Acolyte will live, and they could turn towards the Elder.
Team Queso absolutely clinical in the late game here. And they're going for the Elder Inferno. I don't know if Leon's going to be enough to stop them by himself. There is too much sustain. That is a huge objective win for Team Queso. They bought their time. The Ziggs coming in clutch for this game. Just able to constantly prevent that pressure being shoved into the mid.
Misery compounder. The tier 2 goes down as well.
Did Friend have stasis on that engage over the tower? That's my real question. I don't know if Friend had stasis or not, but if he had stasis, he might have been able to buy some time with the Killer Instinct as well. But that catch was absolutely imperative to Team Queso. If they win this, they're on championship point. They're going to Horizon Cup if they can get 2 more wins. This is absolutely ludicrous. They've played this so well.
17,000 gold for Andreas on Lee Sin. You know, we've been talking about how Leon Doom can work well on Lee Sin, but let's not underestimate what Andreas has done throughout the weekend. He has been phenomenal, and he is currently in a fantastic situation with his team here. He has been catching people off guard.
036 Ziggs, by the way, and he's chunking half of Snitch's HP with a single ult, which is on about a 40-second cooldown at this stage in the game.
Baron's been done. The Baron's been finished. The Baron's going to go down here. You can see Doom's off the side there, just too late. Can't join the party, had no vision. And the Baron will be picked up. A 2-man Baron, the danger of a 20-minute game. They do manage to cast the charm down. That will catch out Memorize. Not the hugest of targets, but a good crowd control nonetheless for Queso.
They need to take this fight now. If you're RIX, they know it. They're going for it, but Doom takes half his HP in a single setup from the Ziggs.
Which one do they deal with? Do they go for Acolytes on the top? Do they go for the mid? They have to protect one of these turrets because they're both being pressured at the moment. Acolyte with the wave, and the wave clear is all they can focus on.
They need to just engage. They just need to straight up engage.
Bomb. Mega Inferno comes on. The Ignite catches on him. That surely will be the game as Snitch goes down. Queso will push in. Leon has to engage. They can't do anything about this one, but RIX are going to fall left, right, and center. They will get one down. The Guardian Angel will pop, but it does not matter. Queso will get the dunk in there, and championship point will go to Queso. They're 1 game away from victory here. Incredible.
And the Ziggs, I've got to say it, you can see why he's banned in competitive. You can see why he's had 100% presence. like time and time again, I mean, so many early picks from RIX, but they converted it into nothing because the wave clear was just so consistent. And again, I've got to praise Queso. They're so good at managing waves. Their map pressure and their macro play is absolutely unparalleled at this competition. I think they've clearly leveled up from the previous Origin series that we've seen before. And honestly, like Ruiz did almost nothing that game. In fact, most of what he did was die, but he was still a Ziggs. He stalled them out. Still stalled them out. He still did ults that were chunking out half the HP of pretty much every single member on the side of RIX. That is why Ziggs is banned.
It didn't feel like Queso had much control over that game when you look at the score lines as the earlier parts of the game. They were playing
11 kills down, something like that.
Defensively, but like Kiernan said, because they have such good wave management, such good vision control, they stalled out the game long enough, and then they found their opening and they just punched a hole straight through it.
Yeah, I mean, RIX they just seemed to be stalled. They weren't sure where they could go. They needed to try and force a fight. The fight wasn't happening. The charms that they'd caught early on were suddenly gone away because Queso were playing so defensive, sitting on that turret. That single tier 1 turret in the middle held on for so long just because of Ziggs. The Mega Inferno Bomb kept coming in. If they'd have taken that away, that would have removed a chunk of the vision. Suddenly they could start getting those picks that they were so looking for. You know, the kill control was very much in their favor. They had a 3,000 gold lead, but it felt like nothing.
But even when Ziggs was killed, the rest of Queso were there to compensate. And because they'd already set up their side lane waves, it was so difficult for RIX to actually capitalize on anything. Like, Ziggs is down, that should be the go button. That should be like, okay, get something. Yes. But they could never get something because the wave setup was so good from Queso time and time again. And they bought time. They bought time for Ziggs to scale up. They bought time so that when he could click an ult, like, Snitch loses half his HP in one go, you know?
I mean, just watching him trying to get under the mid inhibitor tower, he walks over the minefield, he gets hit by an ability 1, and he's just
dead.
Sterix pop. There's nothing he can do.
That's Doom as well. Yeah, I mean that's one of the tankier players on Team K's. Sorry, on RIX. You know, it was Snitch when he just absorbed even the outside of the ultimate from Ziggs. He was down to half HP.
There's a free item Ziggs just bursting damage out of absolutely nowhere. We need a deeper look at this though. We're going to throw it over to Carmeline over at the Weatherman Station to take a look at one of those fights.
Hey, hello there. I'm back here to tell you about one of the plays that I was personally impacted most by, because I found that this was really the turning point for Team Queso in this apparently lost game. 6 kills for RIXG, just 1 for Team Queso, but look at this because things are about to change quite a lot. So we've got the entirety of Team Queso here in the Final Dragon. We've got RIXG coming up here, and right now you're going to see the magic happening. Okay, we're going to stop it right there. Okay, so RIX Clue, he's trying to get here to prevent them from taking the dragon in first place. Leon is ready right here, as well as Snitch and Doom. And you can see Team Queso is a little bit divided. Memorize with the Ray can allow himself to be a little apart from the rest of the team, as well as Acolyte. But be very careful with this nuclear of the team fight right there. Gonna watch it a little bit more to see how this unfolds. Okay, we'll stop it right there. Memorize with the ultimate. Front entrance right there. These two getting charmed. Right here, Leon alone with Clue. Nothing much to do right there. On the other hand, we've also got this right here. Very dangerous situation for both teams. It could go either way. Let's watch a little bit more, see what happens right now. Keeping your eyes here. Both of them charmed once again. Okay, Andres enters here with Listen. Real convenient here for Team Queso with this Listen. Teams right here, Team Queso right here, managing to run out. And let's see now how things keep on going. Okay, we see the ultimate skill spree for Andres with Listen. Clue has to retreat down there with Gragas. The dragon is still there causing damage, by the way, something you have to pay attention to. Leon and Clue trying to get after Ruth, which is the only kill they're gonna get in this team fight. But they're damaged enough so that you can see they're about to be chased right there. We've done a little bit of a time skip. And finally, look at this. Loads of life, low life, and I think you can imagine how the team fight ended, with Team Queso winning it and getting that comeback that they really wanted to get. So that's it for me. Carmeline signing off. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Carmeline. And Team Queso, they're fighting up against RIX's team fight style that they've kind of lent into from Game 2 onward. But they're at championship point now. They only need one more game to take away the win. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, it is championship point, Team Queso.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Team Queso on championship point here at the Wild Rift Origin Series Championships in Europe. Incredible scenes, no doubt about it. RIX GG, as you can see, making the switch onto the blue side. Kind of expected. It is the side that has won every single game so far.
Yep, blue side 100% win rate in this finals. I think they will need to adjust because, of course, if they do win this, Team Queso are going to go back and pick blue anyway. So we have to think a little bit about ahead. You know, they've got to win 3 games in a row now. Team Queso are 1 win away from claiming the Origin Series Championship and also booking their spot in the Horizon Cup later this year.
Instant Galio ban, first one out. It was a problem for RIX in the first 2 games, no doubt about it. We had that change around, but Ziggs is going to get removed. We saw how strong that can be. Even if you don't get fed, the wave clear alone is punishing.
I just think, though, from a fundamental level, Team Queso are playing better. Right now, I think at the end of the day, they've got better
objectives,
wave control,
vision,
better wave control setup. Their vision's better right now. Their engages are much more clinical. They're able to capitalize on things much more heavily. I think the Rakan is genuinely a problem. I think the Rakan has been so good and so influential in setting up Team Queso. I don't think RIX are giving themselves enough agency in their drafts. I don't think RIX are drafting enough to say, well, when we want to pull the trigger and go, we don't have enough to do that. And whereas Team Queso, every single time, whenever they want to force something, they've always had the way to force it.
Is the Ari going to sneak through? Is Camille going to sneak through? The center goes out. There's the Lee Sin taken away. Been very strong for Andreas in the last game, no doubt about it, but they don't want to allow it to go across, which means they have something else focused for their first pick. Now, what do we see here for Queso? It is the Camille, which leaves the Ari open, the Gragas open. Which do we feel is more impactful here for RIX?
I think Gragas is the safer bet. Has the flexibility, doesn't offer up too much in the draft. I think they've shown they know how to deal with Ari. They have won a game versus the Ari. And I think the Gragas had some brilliant moments for Clue in that game. But it will be the Riven, which has snuck through the ban phase once more. That will go straight over to RIX here. It was one of the things that allowed them to get the win.
Incredibly
in their
strong
game
for
previously.
Snitch, yeah. And it's also something we've seen not only Snitch play, obviously Leon and Doom are both capable of it, and that does, of course, leave the Gragas open for Queso as they look to move over to that. So that's might be on Memorize. We don't know, as Ruiz will get himself his RE. That's been so strong throughout.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Queso will be very happy with their first phase of the draft here. As you said, likely going to be Memorized Gragas. We've seen it much more in the support role than we have in the Baron lane position this tournament. It'll be Xin Zhao immediately for Doom, though. RIX trying to craft a comp very similar to the one where they actually picked up a win.
Ooh.
And the Seraphine has slipped through the draft again.
So, I mean, one thing for Doom, he has been involved in First Blood 100% of the time he's played Xin Zhao so far in the finals, but those encores were absolutely on point. The question is, what the RIX pair with this? They are debating exactly what it will be. Of course, Darius will get locked in once again for Acolyte, and there is the Corki coming in for Ibu.
So now we see RIX get their pick of the litter when it comes to this Seraphine combination on the bot side of the map. Will it be Braum to provide that big, strong front line? Orianna does get locked in here. Maybe we see the Braum just to provide that front line for them. You know, often you'll see the Seraphine paired up with the Sona or the Lux. Sorry, it will be the Sona that comes through. Very heavy scaling here. But there isn't, apart from Doom with his ultimate, so much frontline to speak of. It does mean that we are going to see, I think for the first time, Leon on this Riven this time round, and it will be Vi that comes through for Team Queso. Team Queso have got a very, very standard kind of like back-to-front style team comp where you have a little bit of isolation with the Vi and the Ari, whereas RIX, it's very heavy scaling, and that is one of my worries here. You need a lot of time to get this Seraphine Sona going.
Yeah, what we've talked about before is the fact that they are powerful when they get the early game. Let's get that match underway, ladies and gentlemen. Game number 5. Will it be Queso that take the championship here, or will RIX fight back once again? 100% win rate for the blue side so far, which does favor RIX, of course, and challenges Queso's love for that Rift Herald.
Queso have been so good. I really can't take anything away from this tournament. I think that all of their fundamentals have been so incredibly strong.
Leon.
I've been very impressed. It's a really early wave shove for Leon and Snitch. Leon will be able to hit level 2 very early on in that top lane matchup. You see that Acolyte has responded by trying to shove the wave as quickly as possible here, but we have a very, very mobile Riven who should be able to get into the top lane without losing too much to the tower.
Yeah, if anyone knows how to counter that, it's Acolyte, who's been doing it to everyone all tournament long. That's for sure. It does mean that Doom's coming down for the red buff early on, so he's going to be getting that one smited away and carrying on his merry way. Pretty much standard reverse pass for the junglers. We'll keep our eye on that because, as I say, Doom has been involved in the early fight so far. That's a lot of damage going down onto Ubu. And that is the danger of this combo. Sustain and damage can be piled on quite quickly.
Yeah, very difficult to pressure these guys out, especially with the combo that you're seeing in the lane here for Memorize and Ibu. They're not exactly going to have the same amount of pressure that you would expect a lot of answers into a Sona Seraphine lane to have. So they are going to let these guys scale up, and they're just going to hope that they can kind of take control of the mid game. Gragas is a great answer, I think, into Seraphine Sona in general, though. It's a very, very easy way to... we have... Oh my god, that's the charm down. That's the charm down.
He's missed the charm. He's going to go in for Ruiz here. Andreas is instead going to get turned to the focus and almost certainly first blood, but he gets the heal off. And no, it turns around. Doom goes down. Andreas still alive. Stitch fail flashes. Oh, disaster for him. He can't get away, but here's the sustain and power that they were looking for. Andreas, the shield comes through. They do get him down. It's turned around again. Acolyte, not a great deal of damage to come out here and help it out, and Stitch will get focused on by Memorize. What the heck just happened? A 3-for-2 for Queso in the pit.
Absolutely mental fight, but it was Acolyte that had the priority and was able to roam down a lot more quickly. I understand what RIX did. The charm was down for Ruiz. That kills a lot of the Ahri's power, but they were able to just collapse behind the Darius. Watch this. Great flash from Ruiz. Stops a lot of the damage coming down from Doom. And that is a brilliant engage from Acolyte. Just straight on, shuts everything down, and he starts to build those stacks up. Leon immediately forced out. Snitch flashes into the pit. You don't really have any mana to work with right now. It's also an Orianna in the early game. You're not exactly going to be doing work. And it is just a great response to an aggressive push on the Rift Herald. And to make things worse, rub salt in the wounds right now. It is a Rift Scuttler secure for Andre, which puts Team Queso in a great spot in this stage of the game. They've got double scuttle as well. They double scuttled.
Yeah, double scuttle coming out of that. They immediately went straight down there. So, 1,000 gold differential given across to RIX there. And it may just give them that advantage they've been looking for to try and force out that Rift Herald early on. I can see Memorize already coming this way. He's about a minute early, though, so going to wait a moment. Look at Andreas. Andreas sneaking into the top lane, trying to be unseen.
They're rotating everybody up here. Yep. What they're doing is they're stacking a wave, and they're trying to force Leon away from the tower right now. They're going to try and catch out Ibu in the same play, but there's a lot of minions and a lot of golden experience being forced away from Leon. They're trying to go for the first tower as well.
And notice how Memorize didn't go to the tower there, making sure they don't have the 3 on the tower. They only have the 2, as opposed to RIX going with the 2 on the turret there. Stitch taking incredibly low. We'll get that defense through. Leon almost going down as well, and Ruiz nearly 2v1 in them.
First tower of the game, surely, for Team Queso here. As you mentioned, it is a 2 versus 3. They need to have the 3 on the bot side of the map here because Friend and Clue won't be enough, and they're going to get a response.
And the power, we were talking about this on day 1, the power of having 2 versus 3 on a tower, it gives that tower a buff, and RIX just not reading. I mean, obviously they don't have the damage coming out from a Seraphim and Sona so early on. They're gonna force the Dragon Start? Okay, they're gonna try and counter it into the Rift Herald, but I can tell you what, Queso are gonna get this Rift Herald and be down here quick.
They are going to be down very, very quickly. Ruiz has that charm available. Friend sitting on the sidelines. I think unfortunately RIX have to go for it. They've whiffed the ult as well. This is disaster for them.
Acolyte coming in. They're looking for this one, and I'll tell you what, Queso may be stuck in the pit. The crescendo's already gone out, and it's not really done a great deal. Clue's gonna have to try and flash away. He's got nothing, and look at Ibu. Ibu just popping off in the backside. The Dragon will go across the Queso. They'll get themselves a kill out of this one. Ibu just about flashes out in time, but everything is going the Queso way.
This is domination for Queso. They mean business in championship point right now. 4,000 gold lead, 5,000 gold lead at 4 minutes. RIX are in shambles.
They throw down the Herald instantly. Ruiz once more. He's going to come in, and Doom will fall. And this is a huge lead now for the Spaniards.
They've just played the early game so well again. 2 people on the top lane tower, secure first tower, straight into Rift Herald because they have the priority top lane. Take that, force the mid lane tier 1 down. RIX if they are going to come back from this, it will be one of the best comebacks I've seen in competitive because they are down in the dust right now. Not that they can't do it, they've got Seraphine Sona, but a lot of the ways that you stall the game out have already been eliminated by Team Queso. Mid lane tier 1 gone, top lane tier 1 gone. Those are great stalling mechanics that you now lose. As we said, the whiffed ultimate from the Seraphine, a very, very low impact Sona ultimate. Everyone bullied into the pit, early game as well, out the window because you're Seraphine Sona. And it was just such a great collapse from Team Queso. I think RIX just, they look rumbled, mate. They look absolutely rumbled.
Yeah, I mean,
their heads aren't in the game right now.
Obviously, we have the benefit of hindsight, and we can see that it was such a danger move in the pit, and that is going to be Snitch caught out here. Nothing you can do about that one, and they get themselves a double down on that as Clues finished off, and that is a very raucous Queso that you are hearing in the background, and it is absolute silence from RIX.
I don't blame them. I really don't blame them. Queso deserve every voice that they've got right now because they are absolutely crushing this final game. RIX have just not been in it. Queso have been better from start to finish. You really can't take that away from them. They're now denying jungle creeps away from Doom as well. Starving the gold away from RIX, who need it so badly on that Sona Seraphine. And you can hear the shouts. I stayed quiet for it. The solo bolo from Ruiz there, giving him the Ari in the most influential game of the series. Snitch down at 0-3. This is 10,000 gold building up for 7 minutes in. You are looking potentially at your new Spanish overlords here in the Origin series.
Second place in June, third place in July, and second place once again. Always the runners-up to RIX throughout the monthlies. And at no point did they best them, but here in the grand finals, it is looking like a shoe-in. 8,000 gold, 7 minutes into the game. All the objectives swing in their favor, and you can see what that means across in terms of items and gold. An assassin of Ruiz. Oh, Clue is caught napping. Tries to flash away, not gonna happen. Absolutely fast asleep.
Nothing they can do. They've got no control over their blue or red side jungle. RIX are boxed into their inhibitor towers at 7 minutes into the game. This is a clinic from Team Queso. It has been a clinic all series, D-Man. They have just got everything right, and honestly, RIX have just not been able to contend.
From the very beginning,
exactly.
You know, just from a small fight, not even for the Rift Herald, for the Scuttle Crab at the Rift Herald to get the vision, but they're running headlong into Team Queso, who are ready with open arms. Doom will fall, Andreas will turn, Clue will be the next target as he tries to get away. Sustain or not, you cannot avoid. It's such a huge gold disparity, and they are diving towers deep to get these kills right now. Acolyte will walk away, and they have the damage, the ability, and the skills to take the victory here.
10k gold lead, Infernal's up, they have a man advantage. Team Queso have had their number, I think, from draft to execution. And at this point, you are just looking at a team that has an insurmountable lead to work with. They can do whatever they want on the map. And RIX are desperate even for a scrap of a kill at this stage in the game, and that ain't gonna save them. I hate to break it to you, but that ain't gonna save them. They need a hell of a lot more of that to get themselves back into this game. You know, Leon, you could see, desperate to try and make at least one pick, get something back, even just for morale at this stage in the game. But this is just pure gold advantage working through. They're not able to make that late game Sona Seraphine work because they have unfortunately not given themselves enough time to work with. A great defensive shockwave from Snitch, but it doesn't matter. Defensive shockwaves at 7 minutes into the game, or 8 minutes into the game, you don't want to see that. And I think Team Queso right now,
they can't even get the blue buff away.
No, exactly.
It resets. They tried to pull it away, but the pressure from Queso is too strong. RIX realizing there needs to be a death ball, but the problem is they've got that Sona Seraphine we were talking about. It needs time to get going. They haven't been given that time. And look at Andreas, happy to dive under the tower. Clue just gets decimated in there. Doom does what he can. Some good damage coming out from RIX here to try and turn it around. But the question is, have they got enough to try and get the damage down? No, the dunk comes through. Leon tries to escape, and it's a 3 for 3 as they keep themselves alive for now.
It's a wombo combo that works in favor of RIX, but it's still an even trade across the board, and it's still a 10k gold lead and a tier 2 turret that's being stared down by Team Queso. The idea was there, the execution even lined up on that team fight, but Team Queso were just too far ahead. Leon leading the charge for his team once more.
The charm comes in. Acolyte, though, can just turn this back in his favor. A quick cleave, and they all have to back away. They do save the turret, though, but it is a 10,000 gold differential.
It is just way too good from Team Queso in this series. I don't think RIX can really say anything other than they were just outclassed. They're trying to get some control of their own jungle back right now. But with that Baron up, that is going to be an objective that it will really just be lethal to the chances of this game. Snitch does get away with his own blue buff for the time being. They're trying to build up towards those crucial items, the harmonic echoes for Friend. We're going to be looking towards, hopefully, a harmonic echo sometime soon for Clue. Once those items come through, maybe you have the sustain that you need in these team fights, but you're still building back from what is a ridiculous disadvantage.
Leon looking to try and punish, but he's get caught out around the side there. Oh no, separated from his team. Doom's in trouble. The crescendo comes across, but there's no follow-up for it. Acolyte goes in. He's taken very low, but look at the lifesteal. He just falls out of there. He will fall in the end. It's still a 1-for-1 with a big top laner down. They're going to try and chase this one. RIX are looking towards it, but I don't think they've got enough to follow through, and they realize they have to back. The sustain is still strong, though, from RIX here. It's started to show.
It's starting to show. Starting to see why this team comp's so good. Oh, Clue, you just played with fire, my man. 1-for-1 at the end of the day here, but it is still a big advantage in the favor of Team Queso. Doom had to make that check. He like, you can't give up Baron here. You just lose if you give up Baron. They know that. So it may look stupid what Doom did, but he had to do it because he had to make the check. They have got no control over their own jungle and therefore no control over the river. So a face check is the only tool that they have in their arsenal to actually get onto the Baron. But the sustain, as you mentioned, there's 2 Staff of Flowing Waters coming through right now for Friend and Clue. It's providing a lot of teamfight sustain and a lot of teamfight backing off. Clue and Friend have their ultimates available here as well. And it's just elements of teamfights that RIX can work with. It's about whether Team Queso play into that again, because a couple of fights now, it hasn't actually been clinical for Team Queso, and they've allowed RIX to actually make their comp work the way they wanted to.
So 25 seconds on the board. It will be the Dragon coming back up, of course, that Baron there. But as we were talking about, you know, there is the danger. It still looms. A crescendo, an encore. And I was about to say with Leon setting things up, but they've got to be careful because you can see Queso trying to set something up here. There's no ward placement at the moment, so Queso unseen throughout the jungle, but fair play to RIX. You know, they're very much aware. Now the Dragon coming out, somebody has to peek this way. Somebody else to risk it. Memorize there. That's going to give the clue. Are they going Baron? No.
They're just trying to get some vision.
They want the vision
down.
there.
Yeah, they want the vision. They can't actually do it right.
Oh, they're going to get chased. They're going to get chased. Acolyte's going chasing for them. They're trying to look onto us. The crescendo was used from Clue there to stop them catching on them and collapsing in the end there. That's a big weapon in the arsenal of RIX. Taken away for now. It's a pretty quick cooldown, but they're going to be timing that.
I think RIX know they can't contest dragons right now, so they're just giving them up because there's nothing else they can do in this situation. As we said, they're just desperately waiting to get enough gold so that they become relevant in these team fights.
It was a Cloud. It wasn't a Elder. It wasn't worth risking it for. I 100% believe that, but 10,000 gold is still the difference. There's no gain on
10,000 gold is still 10,000 gold, man.
And it's some big items at this level, and it's equating to almost a full item per player at the moment. Certainly for the top in the jungle there. Memorize going to get focused. The push comes in, but that's a great slam from Memorize to slow them down. The explosive cast separates Doom from his team. He tries to do the same at the moment. Ruiz putting the pressure down on towards Snitch there. In goes Leon. There's the encore coming across the crescendo. Andre goes gold. They've got Ibu separated around the side, but there's no damage, unfortunately. It was a great fight, no doubt about it, for RIX, but the damage is just lacking. The 10,000 gold disparity showing exactly there.
Yeah, it was the setup maybe RIX wanted, but they just don't have the gold to work with. Andre trying to force Friend away from the tower. Memorize trying to find the flush body slam. They want this championship right here, right now. They're trying to threaten Friend at the very least.
Trying to do what he can. He's gonna, you can see he's fighting for it. He's got no mana left, and there goes the inhibitor turret. They will back away from this one. It's not going to be over just yet. There will be one more team fight to be had.
Take a look back at that fight. You see here that, unfortunately, again, situation where Clue and Doom have to face check because that Baron is getting started. Doom buys some time with his ultimate, but Snitch caught out of position by Ruiz. Watch this. Great ultimate. Catches 4 from Friend, but the follow-up just not there. And we have that huge package from Ibu as well to really cut off some of the retreat from RIX. And RIX, as you mentioned correctly, the damage just not good enough right now to actually contend properly in these team fights.
The encore, the crescendo, the shockwave, everything was there. But there were just, the damage was just ever so slightly locking. You saw Ibu off the side. You saw Ruiz all so low. But again, just not able to get anything from it. Chasing down Memorize the Gragas. That is about the worst target you want there. A, you can dash it away, and B, it's just a support player at the end of the day. While that explosive cast can be huge, and you can see the bait coming out from Queso here. RIX realize the danger. They have zero vision. Tell a lie. They have the ward. They've managed to get the scuttle crab, didn't they?
Yeah, they know exactly where Ruiz are, or Team Queso is at the moment. It's a quick pause.
Oh. Shake this one out, boys, because this is tense. 10,000 gold still for Queso. Massive advantage for them. There's no doubt about it.
I don't think you can really say without a shadow of a doubt Team Queso are in the stronger spot right now. I mean, they have been from the very get-go. They've dominated this game from start to finish, but there is always that little creeping motion in the back where you have a Seraphine Sona combination. Those team fights haven't been absolutely clear-cut for Team Queso. I want to at least give the viewers a little bit of hope for RIX, but it is a slim margin. I think realistically you are looking at Team Queso, who can just see this one out with that massive gold advantage to work with. But we've seen team fights. There have been some even team fights at a 10k gold disadvantage for RIX. They can still work towards that. But hopefully we're getting back into game as soon as possible to see how this concludes.
Yeah, my main worry is that we saw that team fight a moment ago. We saw the Encore, the Crescendo. I think the Crescendo and Shockwave were kind of at the same time, so it wasn't as impactful, but still the damage being done from the Shockwave. And it wasn't enough. Yes, they did kind of catch them off guard. We're going straight into it. The team fight's immediately happening. Doom going to the other side there. This is the replay.
Yeah, this is that huge.
Trying to catch me off guard there.
Again, another big crescendo, hits 3, as you said, the Shockwave there, but just too tanky. Not enough damage right now for RIX. And unfortunately, as well, the package just really cut off that retreat. So you saw that package from Ibu, fantastic, straight down the brush. That choke point completely covered by that Corki ability, and that made it very difficult for the squishier members from RIX to retreat. You can't fault Team Queso in any way, shape, or form right now. They have had an absolutely excellent couple of series, really. They beat out Game Lord, one of their favorites. Now they are moments away, you feel, from claiming the Origin Series title. This is absolutely reforged Team Queso from what we saw from the online tournaments. This is them. They clearly thrive in this offline LAN format. You can hear it from the way that they're shouting. If you're comparing the two teams, D-Man, it has been Queso making the noise. It has been Queso amping each other up. The energy has been flowing from that side of the stage. Almost every single game, even in the losses, you can hear their voices. And I think that really shows you just how much they've put into this offline performance, as well as the fact that they've leveled up so heavily in terms of compositions. I think one of the biggest criticisms, D-Man, and before coming into this, is that a lot of people thought their drafts were predictable. They thought they relied on certain picks. They thought the Camille,
Sire Rakan.
They thought it was crutches.
We're getting in it. We're getting in it, ladies and gentlemen. We are once again in game. Everybody step away. Step away. Calm down a moment. Okay. 15.5 minutes gone in this. We're looking at death timers that pretty much would finish the game right now for RIX if they were to get caught out. And it is so risky. They're fighting. And look at this. The Baron is being started out by Queso.
And look, it's Clue that's the one that has to face check this right now. You've got Ruiz on the front line.
Oh, he's going to get caught out on the side there. Doom taken very low by Ruiz. That Baron being finished off very quickly. Leon has to go for it. Is he going to get close enough? No. The Baron will go across to Queso. And now Leon tries to avoid the pit. The damage coming down in the pit, but it's not on the targets they're looking for. And this is Queso turning the game in their favor. It is a team ace. It is over, ladies and gentlemen. That is surely it.
They're going for it. They're running straight down mid. They've got the Baron wave to work with. Teleports coming in. Team Queso are going for the championship.
Incredible stuff from Team Queso. No doubt about it. The Nexus will fall. It will be a 4-1 championship victory here in the Wild Rift Origin Series for Queso. Absolutely deserved throughout.
And they absolutely deserve it. They're smashing the screens. They are hugging it out. You can hear their voices on these microphones. They're the deserved winners this weekend. They've played every series that they've entered with absolute energy, gusto, and it means so much to these players that have been second fiddle to RIX for 3 months now.
Not only are they champions here, they will go forward and represent Europe in the Horizon Cup later on in November. Incredible performance. 4-1 is a statement, certainly to rest of Europe. They've been second fiddle to RIX for the last 3-4 months leading up to this tournament, and you can see just what it means for these players. Absolute delight for a team that very much deserves an excellent performance in the semi-finals over Game Lord, and a very confident dominant performance over RIX GG here.
Yeah, it was a beautiful display from Team K, so they've played excellently from start to finish. As we said, leveled up here at the Origin Series, and they fully deserve this.
Congratulations, Team Queso. Congratulations for the huge victory, guys. Got a couple of questions for you to celebrate it. Look, this has been, I'll talk for you then. This has been a 4-month journey for the team. You've had an incredible tournament. What would you say you've learned across the way? What's the biggest thing that's helped you as a team succeed?
Can I take this?
Yes, you can take that off.
Okay. Basically, we have been in a 3-month journey that has been really rough. We have facing some difficult results. We have faced RIX, which is honestly one of the best teams that I have ever seen in the game. And they're super, super good. They have helped us as well to progress in the region and to actually improve our game style. So this is for them. They have worked a lot, so.
Well, your team's certainly been one of the more vocal ones we've had in the arena today. In your honest opinion, who would you say is the loudest out of these lads?
Oh, freaking Reese. He's so annoying in the house, you know?
Of course, your journey doesn't end here. You've won the Origin Series. It means you've banked yourselves a trip to the Horizon Cup. Have you got a message for any of the international teams who may watch back this footage in preparation for that event?
We have talked to some teams. I think they're gonna be better teams, honestly, internationally, and they're gonna be like a clash of metas. And China is super good, and Korea is super good, CA is super good. NA, we're coming for you.
Of course, NA are always loud. One last statement for you. Queso proud?
Queso proud, of course.
Queso proud, guys! Thank you so much for joining us here at the Origin Series Championship in Stockholm. It's been an incredible journey, and I wish you all the best. Congratulations, Team Queso!